Chapter 2696, Regret. Chapter 2696, Regret. Chung Fong's hand shook. Feng Wu smiled and gave him a meaningful look. She had had enough of Chung Fong. All he ever did was make requests while he just stood on the side and watched. She only tolerated him because he was a member of the team. If she had her way, she would have given up on him after she saved him once. Chung Fong gave Xiao Xiao a pleading look. Xiao Xiao was going to offer moral support when Ling Hao tugged at his sleeve and gave him a warning look. The realization struck him. Feng Wu was displeased. If Xiao Xiao tried to speak up for Chung Fong, she might suggest that he go with Chung Fong. That wasn't the worst-case scenario. The worst possibility was that Feng Wu might be disappointed in them. At that thought, Xiao Xiao shook his head at Chung Fong. He had to be considerate. No one took Chung Fong's side. Chung Fong was almost in tears. Feng Wu patted him on the shoulder. Off you go. Chung Fong had used up all his excuses. Taking the paper crane, he slowly walked away, looking over his shoulder every few steps. He hoped that Feng Wu would tell him to come back, but he waited, and nothing happened. When he turned back again, his team had walked out of sight. He was all alone. He wanted to rush back to his team. However, the paper crane took off at that moment. It flapped its wings and gave Chung Fong a contemptuous look. Even a paper crane was mocking him now. Chung Fong felt like crying. The crane started flying away. Chung Fong was in a difficult spot. He couldn't bring himself to go back to his team. However, he didn't think he was capable enough to find Yihan and save her. Moreover, the cave was massive. Take a wrong turn, and one could be lost in it forever. It was terrifying to walk alone in this place. Even a grown man couldn't live with that fear. After that mocking glance, the paper crane flew even faster. Hey, wait for me. Chung Fong ran after it. Without the paper crane, he would get lost in the 80,000 tunnels. He would lose his mind. The paper crane was flying just fast enough that he could catch up with it if he walked as fast as he could. He was filled with fear, and he was exhausted. He stumbled through the tunnels, his face streaked with tears. Why couldn't he just keep his mouth shut? Save Yihan. He wasn't much better than her. How was he going to do that? Moreover, Yihan was with Xueqing team. If they couldn't do anything, what could he do? Chung Fong thought of Feng Wu. He wondered why Feng Wu wouldn't help him. How could she be so relentless? With all those things spinning in his head, Chung Fong pressed on hurriedly. Several times, the poor light made him fall. Soon, he was covered in bruises. But he didn't dare stop because if he did, he could become lost and die. He now saw how decisive Feng Wu was. Chapter 2697, Captain Jupiter. Chapter 2697, Captain Jupiter. Chung Fong knew that Feng Wu wouldn't come to his aid. It felt like he had been walking forever. When he thought he was going to die from exhaustion, he saw a dot of light in the distance. Meanwhile, Feng Wu and her teammates were walking in silence. No one made a sound, and the air felt stifling. Feng Wu suddenly stopped. The others were perplexed. Feng Wu frowned. There's trouble up ahead. The others asked, what trouble? Feng Wu couldn't say. All she knew was that the magic soul vine was stirring in her sleeve. The magic soul vine came from the Dongsang kingdom and would only stir when it detected people from Dongsang. Feng Wu frowned at the realization. If she was guessing correctly, the woman killed by the swordsman had come from the Dongsang kingdom, while now she had run into more Dongsang people. The path went around a corner a few steps away. There was a crossroad. Feng Wu raised a hand, stopping the others. The others stopped and looked nervously at her. I heard something, Feng Wu whispered. Get ready for battle. The others tensed up. By now, they trusted Feng Wu completely and did as they were told. However, where was the enemy? They waited and waited, but no one turned up. Perplexed, they all turned to Feng Wu. There was a grave look on Feng Wu's face. She raised her fallen star sword and stared at a wall. The others looked at one another. Where was the enemy? It was only a wall. Was Feng Wu too on edge? They were in a tunnel that was only wide enough for two people to walk side by side. Fengwu rearranged their positions. She stood on one side of the tunnel, and her teammates stood on the other side about 10 meters away from her. Time crawled by. Their minds began to wander when something happened. They saw shadows on the wall. They were silhouettes of people. There were at least 5 of them. It was another team. But why were they inside the wall? They were in fact in the formation. Were they friend or foe? Fengwu gave her teammates a warning look and took out some tear-inducing potion. The others nodded and held their breaths. They heard these people talking on the other side. It sounded like gibberish. Xiao Xiao and the others were baffled. What was that language? They couldn't understand a word. But Fengwu could. That was the language of the Dongsang Kingdom. Fengsang hadn't been there before, nor had she learned the language. However, she had refined the magic soul vine, which was one of the most potent magical plants in Dongsang. Afterward, she could understand the language. She listened to their conversation. We should stop talking in our own language. We need to blend in. Takino has a point. Our purpose is to infiltrate Junwu and obtain classified information. We were picked because we've studied their culture for years and can speak their language fluently. After we step out of here, we should behave like native people of Junwu. Remember that. Yes, Captain Jupiter. Chapter 2698, Spies. Chapter 2698, Spies. Takino, Captain Jupiter, Dongsang Kingdom. They were going to steal information from the Junwu Empire. Xiao Xiao and the others were astonished. They hadn't expected to eavesdrop on such a big secret. I heard we had a predecessor called the Revival List. Unfortunately, the participants are all dead. We're the reinforcements and will be under the command of General Fujihara. I heard the general has hidden well. So far, no one in the Junwu Empire has discovered his real identity. With him as our leader, we'll make great achievements. Too bad Ishida isn't with us here. They're out searching for the immortal spiritual fruit. Captain Jupiter, does the immortal spiritual fruit really exist? Captain Jupiter didn't reply. Instead, another member of the team answered. Of course it exists. However, I'm not sure if they can find it, or if they can preserve it after they find it. The immortal spiritual fruit is supposed to be able to bring people back from the dead. The queen is weak. If we can offer the fruit to our king, we'll be set for life. The immortal spiritual fruit. Fengwu felt as if she had been struck by lightning. She had always been an open and above-board person. She hardly ever owed anyone anything, but there were 2 people whom she genuinely felt sorry for. One was her beautiful master, and the other one was Bauer. That girl was growing weaker and weaker. If she had the immortal spiritual fruit, she would still have a little hope. Otherwise, she wouldn't live for much longer. Fengwu was still eavesdropping when Captain Jupiter scolded the others. Enough with the small talk. We're about to leave the formation. I'll go out first. You guys follow me. Yes, Captain. The people of the Dongsang Kingdom were all about following orders. Everyone stopped talking after that. Fengwu glanced at Xiao Xiao and the others. By then, they had realized how important this was, so they all raised their guard and nodded at Fengwu, indicating that they were ready for battle. Fengwu struck out when Captain Jupiter walked out of the formation from behind the wall. She grabbed him, covered his mouth and nose with one hand, and pinned his hands behind his back with the other. The potion she had smeared on her hand could easily knock someone out. Captain Jupiter was about on the same level as Fengwu. She was a level 9 spiritual lord that had reached perfection, but Jupiter was already a level 1 spiritual king. However, Fengwu had taken him by surprise. Together with the potion, the captain didn't know how to react to the attack. Fengwu hit him in the neck, and Jupiter collapsed to the ground. One after another, Jupiter's team members walked out from behind the wall. Fengwu took care of 4 of them, and her teammates captured the 5th. The tunnel was too narrow, so they took the Dongsang team to an opening a few hundred meters away. Once they got there, they dropped the spies on the ground and surrounded them. All 5 of them were awake, but the potion had made their eyes watery. Jupiter was the first to realize what was going on. Chapter 2699, Imitation. Chapter 2699. Imitation. He glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu smiled. Who are you? Tell me your name. By then, Jupiter and his team members had recovered a little. They looked at one another, all feeling uneasy. Who would have thought? They had been so ambitious. However, they were captured before they could make a move. Jupiter gave his team a warning look before he smiled at Feng Wu. They knew the War Academy was nearby, so Jupiter hatched a plan when he saw Feng Wu and her team. Who are you? Why are you doing this to us? We're students of the War Academy. He glared at Feng Wu. Students of the War Academy. Feng Wu looked at their clothes. These people were prepared. They were wearing the uniform of Class A. Are you our seniors from the War Academy? Feng Wu smiled. Which class are you in? We're from Class A. You're from Class B, right? Jupiter said arrogantly. We're your seniors. Let's go. Feng Wu looked them up and down. She had to admit that these Dongsang people were very fluent in the language of Junwu. They behaved like natives of the Junwu Empire, too. She wouldn't have been able to tell where they were from if she hadn't heard their earlier conversation. Xiao Xiao and the others were shocked. How could these people be so composed? With everything that was going on, they were still trying to pretend to be students of the War Academy. Feng Wu smiled at them. Class A? What's your name? I'm Du Le. Jupiter smirked. Who are you? Du Le. Feng Wu didn't know many people from Class A, so she looked at Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao smiled wryly. I do recognize that name. I think he's a member of a certain team. We're an independent team. Jupiter glared at Feng Wu. We just returned from Peace Grassland. We were on a secret mission in the Dongsang Kingdom and barely came out alive. Is this the greeting we get after coming back home? You've attacked one of your own. This is treason. Jupiter sounded more confident as he went on. It was as if he really were Du Le. If Feng Wu and the others hadn't heard their conversation, they would have been fooled since these people had consummate acting skills. Of course, that was only for ordinary people. With the magic soul vine, Feng Wu could identify a Dongsang man from a mile away. Feng Wu sighed and started talking. I heard we had a predecessor called the Revival List. Unfortunately, the participants are all dead. We're the reinforcements and will be under the command of General Fujihara. Jupiter and his teammates paled. I heard the general has hidden well. So far, no one in the Junwu Empire has discovered his real identity. Feng Wu was smiling at Jupiter's team when she said those words. With him as our leader, we'll make great achievements. Chapter 2700 Amazing Girl. Chapter 2700 Amazing Girl. Too bad Ishida isn't with us here. They're out searching for the immortal spiritual fruit. Captain Jupiter, does the immortal spiritual fruit really exist? Feng Wu didn't simply repeat the conversation. She accurately mimicked their tones as well. Jupiter and his team members stared at Feng Wu in astonishment. They felt angry and defeated at the same time. They were angry because the girl had seen through their disguise but was still mocking them. They felt defeated because, right up to the moment Feng Wu showed up, they had been confident that they were going to make outstanding achievements. Jupiter then gave his teammates a warning look. They nodded at him. The next moment, they tried to crush the poison hidden in their tooth. These spies had emptied their molars before they came here and hidden the poison in the hollow tooth. If they were caught, they could bite down, crush the poison, and kill themselves before they were interrogated. Other people might not be able to stop these spies, but Feng Wu wasn't just anyone. She had seen it coming, which was why she had used the potion. She had enhanced the formula and added some weakening ingredients. As a result, the spies didn't have the strength to bite down. Jupiter noticed it, too. He stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. What did you do? Feng Wu crouched down with a half-smile. You tried to impersonate a senior student, and when we saw through your disguise, you tried to kill yourselves. You must be dreaming if you think you can get away so easily. Feng Wu patted Jupiter's cheek. I won't let any of you die before you tell me everything you know. Xiao Xiao whispered to Feng Wu. He pretended to be Du Le. Does that mean Du Le is? Feng Wu nodded gravely. Don't worry. I'll make them tell me everything. Xiao Xiao nodded. Feng Wu sneered at Jupiter. The truth is, I don't have too much time to ask questions. I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me everything voluntarily. Jupiter smirked and looked away. Feng Wu said, "Is that a no?" Jupiter raised his chin. Feng Wu said, "Fine. I'll start with washing off the makeup on your face." She gave Xiao Xiao some potion. Wipe away the disguise on their faces. They had tied up Jupiter's team, so Xiao Xiao was able to remove the disguise from their faces. Jupiter was shocked. It had taken Master Mu Yin a lot of effort to draw these new faces on them. She had said that no water could wash it off. The makeup could only be removed by a concoction made by Mu Yin herself. No one else on this continent could do it. That was why they were convinced that they could impersonate the real students. But now, Jupiter couldn't lie to himself anymore when he saw his teammates' real faces. Their cover was blown. Who was this teenage girl? How could she remove Master Mu Yan's disguise? Chapter 2701 Mu Yin, the Great Doctor. Chapter 2701 Mu Yin, the Great Doctor. How could she remove Master Mu Yan's disguise? Jupiter worshipped Mu Yin for her exceptional medical skills, but he had begun to panic. Feng Wu said casually, "I want to know the truth as soon as possible. Sorry about this." She then handed a box to Xiao Xiao. Inside are 5 bottles of truth serum. Do you know what that is? Truth serum? The others were amazed. They weren't stupid, and of course they knew what that was. Students could purchase the serum with their points in the academy, but usually no one was dumb enough to buy it. The serum was insanely expensive. The students would rather use the points on their own cultivation instead of buying some useless potion. It wasn't as if they would be interrogating people every other day. However, the truth serum was going to be very useful today. Jupiter smirked at Feng Wu. The Dongseng Kingdom had similar potions as well. They were much better at medical refinement. The same went with formations. Despite being a much stronger country, the Junwu Empire lagged behind in these aspects. It was also why Dongseng, a small kingdom, dared to wage war against the Junwu Empire. Xiao Xiao saw a smirk on Jupiter's face. "What are you sneering at?" Xiao Xiao frowned. Jupiter opened his mouth. "Give me the truth serum. Bring it on." Ling Hao frowned and wondered why the man didn't seem scared. Is he immune to the serum? Takino smirked inwardly. Mu Yin had used the truth serum on them before they came here, and had only let them set out when they could resist the serum. Therefore, they weren't afraid of it. Of course, they weren't going to tell Feng Wu and her team that. They thought they could fool Feng Wu and make her believe she had gotten the truth out of them. Just then, Feng Wu said, "Take those 3 to the other side." Only Jupiter and Takino were left behind. Feng Wu glanced at Takino, who seemed very pleased with himself. Xiao Xiao then poured the serum into Takino's mouth. The whole bottle. Takino drank it all. At first, he remained arrogant. But that demeanor didn't last long. He then started talking. He used the language of the Dongseng Kingdom. Jupiter frowned. Had Takino gone crazy? He shouldn't be saying those things. Luckily, his enemy didn't understand the language. However, what Feng Wu said surprised him. "Someone tried the truth serum on you, right?" Takino said, "Yes." Feng Wu smiled. "Who was it?" Takino said, "Master Mu Yin." Feng Wu asked, "Who's that?" "Shut up. Shut up." Jupiter shouted at Takino. Takino was lucid for a split second, and he glared at Feng Wu. However, the serum soon took control of him again. Chapter 2702 The Crown Prince's Girl. Chapter 2702 The Crown Prince's Girl. Master Mu Yin is... Mu Yin. She's so pretty. I like her so much. But I can't like her. She's the Crown Prince's girl. Takino. Fearing that Takino would reveal more information, Jupiter jumped at him, trying to choke him to death. However, he was stopped before he could reach Takino. His hands had been tied behind his back with a special rope. The harder he struggled, the tighter the knot became. The rope dug into his flesh, and blood seeped out. The commotion woke Takino up a little. He looked at Jupiter in bewilderment. "Captain." However, Feng Wu's truth serum was much more potent than a regular one. After a brief moment of clarity, Takino succumbed to the potion once more. Feng Wu asked, "Who is Mu Yin to your crown prince?" Takino's eyes were glassy, but he grinned, seemingly pleased with himself. "Other people may not know it, but I do. I saw it with my own eyes." Takino whispered, "I saw the crown prince and Master Mu Yin rolling around in the grass. That wasn't something one should reveal to their enemies. It was too sensitive a piece of information, and Jupiter knew their enemies would make good use of it." A million ideas raced through Jupiter's head, and blue veins popped on his forehead. He wanted to say something, but was too weak to speak. He glared at Feng Wu. He couldn't understand what kind of potion it was. Master Mu Yin had tried all kinds of serums and potions on them until they developed a resistance to them all. Moreover, the Dongsang Kingdom was much better in terms of medical skills. The people of the Junwu Empire were barbarians in comparison. However, they had been rendered completely defenseless. Why? Who was this girl? Jupiter's face twisted, and he thought he was going to go crazy. However, no matter how angry he was, he couldn't do anything about it. Feng Wu smiled at Takino. "You saw Master Mu Yin with the crown prince? Is she going to be his wife, then?" "Of course not." Takino shook his head. "The crown prince has a wife already. She's from a very powerful family." Feng Wu asked curiously, "What family is that?" "I can't tell you." Takino shook his head. "I'd rather die than tell you." Feng Wu didn't know what to say. It seemed that the crown prince and Mu Yin were worth looking into. Feng Wu made a mental note and decided to do some research later. The Dongsang Kingdom knew so much about the Junwu Empire. It wouldn't be fair if the Junwu Empire didn't know as much about them. She asked, "What level is your Master Mu Yin?" Takino said, "She's a supreme-level medicine refiner." Xiao Xiao and the others were astonished. Supreme level. Feng Wu was supposed to be a supreme-level medicine refiner, too, but she could overcome Mu Yan's methods? Did that mean? Chapter 2703, Lord of Mulberry City. Chapter 2703, Lord of Mulberry City. Did that mean Feng Wu was more advanced than a supreme-level medicine refiner? Xiao Xiao and the others were once again astonished by the notion. Feng Wu asked, "Where does that door in the wall lead to? Where did you come from?" Takino didn't answer. The fog in his mind was lifting, and he no longer had glassy eyes. Feng Wu sighed inwardly. It seemed she wasn't going to get an answer after all. Takino woke up from the effect of the serum at that moment. He glared at Feng Wu when he realized what had happened. "What did I say? Captain, what did I say?" Jupiter ground his teeth. Realizing that he might have leaked some confidential information, Takino wanted to kill himself. Feng Wu shook her head. The truth serum's effect wouldn't last forever, and people could develop a resistance. It was most effective when it was used the first time, while the effect was reduced by 50% the second time round. Takino was a spy who had undergone special training. Even a truth serum made by Feng Wu herself would only be effective the first time. Therefore, Feng Wu worked on Jupiter instead. Jupiter tried to resist it at first. Takino watched in astonishment as Jupiter started spitting out confidential information. "How? Aren't we resistant to truth serum? Why?" Takino couldn't believe his eyes. Xiao Xiao smirked. "Your truth serum isn't as useful as ours." "That's not possible. Our master is better than any medicine refiner in the Junwu Empire. You people are barbarians." Xiao Xiao asked, "Are you talking about Mu Yin?" Takino said, "Who told you that name?" Xiao Xiao said, "We know more than that. We know Mu Yin and your crown prince were rolling around in the grass." OMG. Takino wanted to slap himself. Only he knew about that incident. That was to say, he had revealed it to Feng Wu. As a spy, Takino was perfectly aware of the significance of that piece of information. He couldn't imagine how his enemy would use it. Feng Wu wasn't going to give Jupiter a chance to recover. She cut right to the chase. It had only taken Takino 15 minutes to wake up, and Jupiter would be quicker to shake off the effect. He could wake up at any moment, so she had to make every second count. Where does that portal lead to? Feng Wu asked. Jupiter hesitated and shook his head. He tried to resist. Feng Wu knew it was harder to use the truth serum on spiritual kings because they had tougher minds. Therefore, she also tried to hypnotize him with her voice. Slowly, Jupiter let down his guard. Even so, he wasn't easy to interrogate. He spoke in the Dongsang language. Mulberry City, the city lord's residence. We gathered in the garden in his manor, jumped in, and saw the portal. The Lord told us the secret essence mine of the Junwu Empire would be on the other end. Feng Wu understood what he said. Chapter 2704, Shuizhi Bei and Feng Xiangnan. Chapter 2704, Shuizhi Bei and Feng Xiangnan. Xiao Xiao couldn't understand a word. Mulberry City and the city lord's residence. Feng Wu asked, Mulberry City? Who's the city lord? How capable is he? Jupiter replied in his native language, He's Shuizhi Bei. I don't know how capable he is. Feng Wu said, You don't? Make a comparison, then. Who's better, he or Feng Xiangnan, the northern Feng general? Feng Xiangnan was Feng Sun's father. He had been stationed at Peace Grassland in the north all this time, guarding the empire against Mulberry City of the Dongsang Kingdom. Captain Jupiter remained befuddled and replied in his native language, They're equally capable. That was impressive. Northern Feng General had guarded the grassland for many years without so much as losing a tiny piece of the land. Because of him, Northern Border City, the place where Feng Wu used to live, had enjoyed peace all these years. If Peace Grassland was the first line of defense, Northern Border City was second. If Northern Border City fell, the Dongsang Kingdom would sweep through the empire the same way it had 14 years ago. The people of the empire would be slaughtered. Therefore, the empire couldn't afford to lose Peace Grassland. Feng Wu pressed, What's Dongsang's plan for the Junwu Empire? Captain Jupiter gave it some thought before he shook his head. I'm too far down the food chain to know that. I only know that a lot of us have infiltrated the Junwu Empire. Feng Wu gritted her teeth. You'll need some sort of organization to do that. What's it called? Who's the leader? Xiao Xiao and the others couldn't understand Feng Wu and Jupiter's conversation. However, they could tell from Feng Wu's expression that it was important. Takino struggled as he tried to break free and wake up his captain. Of course, the others wouldn't give him that chance. They grabbed Takino, covered his mouth, and restrained his limbs. They even dragged him several hundred meters away, for fear that he would sabotage their efforts. Feng Wu was indeed onto something big. Jupiter started waking up. Shit! Feng Wu's stomach sank, but she realized what was happening, so she increased the dose. She hadn't brought much truth serum with her, and she used all 3 remaining portions on Jupiter while she kept hypnotizing him with her voice. Finally, Jupiter sank back into a befuddled state again. Feng Wu jumped at the opportunity. What's your organization called? Who's the leader? That was the million-dollar question. Although the revival plan had failed, the brains behind that project had never been discovered. Feng Wu hadn't forgotten the hidden crisis. She wouldn't waste such a great opportunity. Jupiter murmured, The organization is called Junwu Annihilation. It's dedicated to collecting information on the Junwu Empire. It has a domestic division and a foreign division. The domestic one is called Crackdown, and the foreign one is called Wipeout. Crackdown is led by the Master Teacher, whereas Wipeout is led by the King's brother. Chapter 2705, Crackdown and Wipeout. Chapter 2705, Crackdown and Wipeout. The Master Teacher leads the domestic division, whereas Wipeout is led by the King's brother. The King's brother? Feng Wu asked. Who's that? Jupiter was about to say a name, when his eyes cleared up and he came back to his senses. Meanwhile, Takino, who had been brought back, stared at Jupiter in disbelief. Captain, why did you tell them everything? Only then did Jupiter realize what he had done. He bellowed and jumped at Feng Wu. Feng Wu dodged. Jupiter suddenly smiled. Feng Wu said, everybody down. Xiao Xiao and the others reacted quickly. They dashed off and lay flat on the ground. There was a rumbling sound. Jupiter and Takino turned into balls of fire. The fire then quickly made its way toward the three other people. Shit! Fengwu charged at them. She hadn't interrogated them yet, because she had run out of truth's serum. She had been about to torture them until they confessed, but she didn't expect Jupiter to attack his teammates. At that critical moment, Takino jumped at Fengwu. He was trying to set Fengwu on fire. Takino was the second most capable person in the team. All 5 people were elite members of the Dongseng Kingdom. Otherwise, Muyin wouldn't have invested so much in them. Fengwu was Takino's target. Burning like a ball of fire, he tried to grab Fengwu and take her down with him. After Fengwu dodged, he turned to her teammates instead. He was much more capable than Xiao Xiao and the others. He was at least a level 8 spiritual lord. Fengwu shouted, "Don't let him catch you. He'll kill you." She had planned everything down to the last detail, but she hadn't expected them to hide explosives inside their bodies. Jupiter had been taken by surprise and couldn't activate his spiritual essence. As a result, he couldn't take his own life and had to give Fengwu the information after she fed him the truth serum. He blew himself up after he regained a little spiritual essence. Takino's spiritual essence was activated by the explosion, so he set himself on fire as well. After Takino, the other 3 followed suit. Fengwu didn't expect the people of Dongseng Kingdom to be so undaunted by death. Everything happened so fast. Fengwu ran fast. Seeing that her teammates didn't have time to get away, she wrapped the magic soul vine around them and pulled. Jupiter's eyes lit up when he saw the vine. Magic soul vine, the legendary magic soul vine. It had been lost from the Dongseng Kingdom for years. The fate of the kingdom was related to the magic soul vine. Jupiter wanted to deliver the shocking news back home, but it was too late. The next second, he exploded. Everything was quiet for 10 seconds. When Fengwu threw her teammates further away, she became the person closest to the explosion. Chapter 2706, Explosion. Chapter 2706, Explosion. When Fengwu threw her teammates out of the way, she became the person closest to the explosion. She coughed, and smoke came out of her mouth. A thick layer of ash covered her back. It was a result of the explosion. Luckily, she was wearing the soft armor which Jun Linyuan had given her, and the flames couldn't burn through it. However, her exposed skin was red and swollen, and the pain made her frown. She ignored her injuries. Instead, she ran to her nearest teammate and helped him to his feet. "Wang Ji, how are you?" Wang Ji was almost suffocated by the smoke, but Fengwu's voice roused him from his stupor. He waved at Fengwu and said, "I'm fine. Don't worry about me." Fengwu nodded and went to check on the others. Luckily, their injuries were all superficial. Xiao Xiao said, "Fortunately, we're all alive." Huashan patted his chest, still feeling shaken. Does life mean nothing to the people of the Dongseng Kingdom? As if one explosion wasn't enough, all 5 of them blew themselves up. What was going on in their minds? Wang Ji said, "Their spiritual essence was blocked. How did they do it?" Everyone looked at Fengwu in confusion. Fengwu smiled wryly. The people of the Dongseng Kingdom are as dauntless as they're said to be. They injected themselves with an explosive potion before they set out. The tiniest amount of spiritual essence can set off an explosion. That sounds ruthless. Xiao Xiao rubbed his nose. They weren't afraid of death, and they tried to bring us down with them. Ling Hao said, "You don't say." The 3 people we weren't able to interrogate took their lives as well. Fengwu said, "I think they preset when the explosion would happen." All eyes were on Fengwu. She added, "I thought at first that they set off the explosion because their spiritual essence recovered a little. However, the other 3 men killed themselves too." It then occurred to me. She took a deep breath. They knew they couldn't get away after we stopped them from taking the poison, so they switched to ready-to-explode mode. Everyone sucked in their breaths. They were so decisive, Ling Hao said, still sounding terrified. Fengwu said, That's why their spies keep infiltrating the Junwu Empire, but only very few of us can infiltrate the Dongseng Kingdom. Everyone nodded, agreeing with her. Wait, Xiao Xiao cried out. If they were impersonating Du Lu and his teammates, does it mean the real people are? Feng Wu was frustrated. She had been too busy asking about the organization and had forgotten about Du Lu. Luckily, she had found out about Mu Yin and the fact that she was in Mulberry City. It wouldn't be too difficult to get information about the real Du Lu. Xiao Xiao asked, "What should we do now? Should we go back to the academy and notify the teachers?" Ling Hao shrugged. Those people blew themselves up. They're a pile of ash now. What can we say? Xiao Xiao turned to Feng Wu, feeling that she would have an idea what to do. Feng Wu nodded. I'll talk to Mr. Gongsun about it. The others were surprised that Feng Wu knew Mr. Gongsun. Chapter 2707, Level 7 Inscription Master. Chapter 2707, Level 7 Inscription Master. Xiao Xiao had initially thought that Feng Wu just got along well with Mr. Yang. As it turned out, she knew Gongsun Mu, the vice principal of the academy. Everyone nodded. All right, Feng Wu shrugged. We have two options now. Everyone looked at her with sparkling eyes. Feng Wu said, Option 1. We head for the formation core and get out of the secret essence mine. Option 2. We go to rescue them. Xiao Xiao said, I'm worried about Cheng Fong. Wang Ji nodded. After all, they're our classmates. Ling Hao said, I'll do whatever Feng Wu says. Washan said, Me too. Feng Wu shook her head after some consideration. It's too dangerous over there. If we all go together, I don't think I'll be able to protect all of you. We're not afraid of danger. Xiao Xiao said. Feng Wu said grumpily, I know you're not, but our enemies are all as capable as Jupiter Team, whose leader was a spiritual king. What will you do? That sounded ominous. Everyone gave Feng Wu pleading looks. They wanted to join her, but didn't want to become a burden. Feng Wu said, You'll just stay on the side and watch. The others nodded. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. She thought for a moment before making up her mind. Let's get to the core as soon as we can. I can only control the formation from there. That way, no one else will be able to get away. After a pause, Feng Wu added, We can't know for sure that there's only one team like Jupiter Team. Everyone's faces darkened, and they all nodded. Let's go. Feng Wu smiled a little before they set out. She walked up to the wall, which Jupiter Team had come out from. It looked the same as all the other walls in the tunnels. No one would have thought that a group of people would walk out of it. Feng Wu took out a strange-looking pen and began to draw peculiar signs on the wall. They looked familiar, but her team members couldn't understand a word. Before long, Feng Wu was done. She put away the pen and nodded. Let's go. Huashan asked curiously. Feng Wu, what did you write? Why can't I understand a single word? Feng Wu said, They're inscriptions. Inscriptions? Shan's eyes widened. Feng Wu, you know inscriptions? No. Feng Wu mulled over the word before she nodded. I suppose you can say that. Are you an inscription master, then? A level 1 inscription master? Ling Hao cried out. Level 1? Feng Wu shook her head. No, I'm not. She was already a level 7 inscription master and was moving on to level 8. Ling Hao said, You're not? That's all right. I heard it's very difficult, and only insanely intelligent people can master it. Of course, Feng Wu isn't insane. Feng Wu said, We should get going. The secret essence mine was a labyrinth to others, but it wasn't too difficult for Feng Wu. She could understand its structure. It didn't take them long to reach the core. It was unimaginable how they could find the right path among 80,000 tunnels. It was impossible, but Feng Wu had done it. Is this the formation core? Chapter 2708. I just know. Chapter 2708. I just know. Is this the formation core? Ling Hao looked around. It wasn't as narrow as the tunnels, where they had to walk in single file. This place was a few hundred square meters wide. In the center was a round platform. On the platform was a giant screen with a strange-looking handle. Xiao Xiao and the others looked at one another in bewilderment. They had reached the formation core, but they couldn't see a way out of this place. Feng Wu quickly walked up to the screen. The others followed her, curious as to what she would do. Feng Wu took out the inscription pen, which she had used to draw on the wall, and started writing on the screen. No one knew what she was writing. Even if they could see the signs she was drawing, they wouldn't be able to read them. Feng Wu wrote several lines when something happened. The dark screen lit up. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The screen was divided into 9 sections, each showing an image. They showed everything that was going on in the mine. They weren't still images, but were videos. Looking at the screen, it felt as if they were scanning the entire mine. Everyone stared at Feng Wu in astonishment. How did she know she could see the entire mine here at the core? Why did she know how to use that control handle? In fact, she hadn't known at first. She had never been here before. However, she had little Phoenix, who seemed to know a lot of things. What Feng Wu didn't tell the others was that the bird had been providing her with information along the way. She didn't know how the bird knew. According to little Phoenix, it had visited this place in its previous life. It had even supervised the construction of this mine. Feng Wu had been skeptical about this piece of information at first, but she began to change her mind as little Phoenix proved that its information was accurate. For instance, little Phoenix told Feng Wu the password to switch on the screen. Look, Ling Hao pointed at the bottom right square on the screen. Isn't that Shanjing Fei's team? They're in trouble. Feng Wu gave it a little tap, and the bottom right section occupied the entire screen. Everyone stared at her in amazement. Was that even possible? They were amazed by everything that was happening. The screen was a novel object which they had never seen before. Xiao Xiao asked, "When did we ever have one of these screens? I heard they are made in Dongseng, but not here. How do you know how it works? Where did you learn that?" Feng Wu said, "I just do." Compared with the tablet she used to have in her previous life, this screen was so basic. To the native people of this world, it must look like a miracle. "You just do." Ling Hao and the others stared at her. Feng Wu said, "That's irrelevant. Look." Everyone looked at the screen. They saw that strange-looking magical beasts had surrounded Shan Jingfei and her companions. There were 10 of them in total. Shan Jingfei's team and Xueqing team had 5 members each. Both had capable members. However, Chapter 2709, Spirit Stoneworms. Chapter 2709, Spirit Stoneworms. The snowy, white, magical beasts were squirming on the ground. "They're not worms, are they?" Huashan noticed the strange appearance of the magical beasts. Feng Wu didn't know what they were, but little Phoenix was already talking in her head. "Gosh, aren't these spirit stone worms? They're longer than the height of humans now. That was fast." The birds sounded amazed. Feng Wu asked curiously, "Do you know what they are?" Little Phoenix said, "Of course I do. I supervised the construction of this secret essence mine. I know better than anyone else." Feng Wu suddenly realized something. Didn't Lu Mingzong, the founder of Imperial College, build this mine? Little Phoenix said, "Yes, he is your senior." It stopped abruptly, realizing that it had revealed some confidential information. Feng Wu was curious. "What did you say? Who is Lu Mingzong to me? Senior what?" Little Phoenix wouldn't say anything. "Birdie," Feng Wu asked. "Don't call me that. It sounds awful." Little Phoenix complained. Feng Wu said, "If you don't answer me, I'll call you Birdie from now on. You're so annoying." Feng Wu was driving the bird crazy. It was supposed to be Boss Phoenix, not some birdie. What a horrible nickname. "Fine, fine. I'll tell you." Little Phoenix snapped. "Lu Mingzong is your senior brother." "What? My senior brother? As in my master's eldest disciple?" "Yes." Little Phoenix nodded. Feng Wu said, "Wasn't Lu Mingzong supposed to be the most powerful cultivator of the Junwu Empire before Master Ling Hu came along?" Little Phoenix didn't answer. Feng Wu asked, "Where is he now?" "Rumor is that he's gone missing, but no one can say for sure that he's dead." "Where is he?" Little Phoenix still didn't answer. Feng Wu asked, "Why won't you answer me? Am I missing something?" Little Phoenix said, You can call me whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you. Feng Wu pleaded, but I want to know. Little Phoenix said, in that case, you better finish the last 2 missions. That way, your beautiful master will wake up. He's always doted on you. I'm sure you can trick him into telling you. If I say the wrong thing, he'll probably strangle me. The bird wouldn't admit that it was jealous. Feng Wu had no idea what the bird was thinking. Seeing that she wasn't going to get an answer, she said grumpily, fine, I'm working on it, but the task is so tricky. She had been working hard to convince Zhuo Qingwan that Jun Linyuan was in love with her, but Zhuo Qingwan just wouldn't buy it. Feng Wu decided that she would put more effort into it. Feng Wu? Feng Wu? Chapter 2710, Protective Circle 1. Chapter 2710, Protective Circle 1. Xiao Xiao and the others watched Feng Wu dubiously while she spoke to Little Phoenix. I see. Feng Wu finally turned to her teammates and pointed at the worms on the screen. These are spirit stone worms. They've been feeding on spiritual stones for years and are filled with essence. They're very beneficial for cultivation. However, the worms had surrounded Shan Jingfei and her friends. We should help them. Ling Hao had a kind heart, and he turned to Feng Wu. Shan Jingfei isn't the most polite person, but she doesn't deserve to die like this. I don't think we should look the other way. All eyes were on Feng Wu. Feng Wu shook her head. You're not capable enough to rescue them. Instead of saving them, you'll be surrounded by those worms too. I won't be able to save you all. That's why you need to wait here while I go save them. Feng Wu took Little Phoenix out of her sleeve, set it on the screen, and said, keep me posted. Little Phoenix shook its head. I don't like the idea of you going alone. You have to take me with you. However, someone had to stay with the screen and tell Feng Wu what was happening in the rest of the mine. That's easy. With a wave of its wing, Little Phoenix switched off the screen and turned it into a mirror, which was small enough to sit on its head. You can take it everywhere with you, Little Phoenix said proudly. I told you already, I built this mine, and I'm its master. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. They were talking in the bird's language, which the others didn't understand. They watched in bewilderment, wondering what Feng Wu and the bird were talking about. Feng Wu asked, will the worms attack my team? Little Phoenix said matter-of-factly, of course they will. Feng Wu asked, how can I protect them? Little Phoenix didn't say anything. It landed in a clear area, drew a circle that was 6 meters in diameter, and lifted its tail. It then pooped on the spot. Was that something Boss Phoenix was supposed to do? Seeing how shocked Feng Wu was, Little Phoenix said, as long as they don't leave this circle, I guarantee you they'll stay alive. Feng Wu glanced at her teammates. Ling Hao said, Feng Wu, are you going to do something about this unhygienic bird? Unhygienic. Aggrieved, Little Phoenix smacked Ling Hao's head with its wing. Ouch! It was so painful that Ling Hao almost burst into tears. That hurt. Feng Wu cleared her throat. All right, just wait for me in this circle. It's safer that way. In this circle? Is that a joke? Ling Hao almost jumped to his feet. Feng Wu rolled her eyes at him. Just go inside the circle if the spirit stone worms attack you. The circle will keep you alive. Now, I'll go rescue the others. She had seen Cheng Fong on the screen just then. She had taken a risk when she let Cheng Fong leave. If Cheng Fong could find Shan Jingfei and her team, Feng Wu didn't mind giving them a hand. Chapter 2711, Protective Circle 2. Chapter 2711, Protective Circle 2. Feng Wu dashed off immediately after that. Ling Hao sat on a rock, crestfallen. Xiao Xiao didn't seem very happy either. Ling Hao said, she just left us here. Are we not useful at all? Will we just cause her more trouble? I don't believe it. Xiao Xiao said, haven't we been a burden to Feng Wu all along? Ling Hao glared at him. Xiao Xiao shrugged. Can you give me an example when we weren't a burden? Ling Hao was speechless. Just then, watch out. Huashan jumped to his feet when he saw a big, fat spirit stone worm crawl into sight. They had seen from the big screen how terrifying they were. The worms might look soft, chubby, and harmless, but their teeth were sharp enough to tear one to pieces. These worms ate spiritual stones. Could they be harmless? Let's kill it. Ling Hao lashed out at the worm. If I'm correct, it's a Class B magical beast at its peak, right? Wang Ji did some calculations and nodded. That's right. By the Academy's standard, its crystal core is at that level. Ling Hao was thrilled. Guys, let's take its crystal core. Doesn't Feng Wu want to be first? Let's give her a hand. Wang Ji found his suggestion idiotic. How many worms do you think you can kill? Get back here. Ling Hao shook his head. That ugly little bird drew a circle and pooped in it. Do you seriously think it can protect us? If that's the case, why do we bother to cultivate it all? Huashan said, I have faith in Feng Wu. If she says it'll work, then it'll work. However, that's only the last resort. I'm curious to find out how powerful the spirit stone worms are. Ling Hao, shall we do it together? Ling Hao said, good idea. As it turned out, the spirit stone worm was as formidable as it was said to be. These magical beasts had lived in these underground tunnels for years and fed on spiritual stones. Thump! The two of them couldn't kill that worm. In the end, Xiao Xiao and Wang Ji had to give him a hand. Phew! Ling Hao heaved a sigh. Gosh, it was so hard to kill. And that was only one worm. Huashan said, there can't be a lot of them. Trust me. However, he paled before he could finish the sentence. He stared at the opening of the tunnel. What was wrong? The others were scared out of their wits when they looked in that direction. Spirit stone worms. There were so many of them, more than they could count. Everywhere they looked, there were big, fat spirit stone worms that were each the size of a grown man. Holy crap. OMG. No way. They were all alarmed. That was crazy. How could there be so many of them? Had they caught the scent of human flesh and followed it here? What should we do now? Ling Hao was as white as a sheet. Chapter 2712, Protective Circle 3. Chapter 2712, Protective Circle 3. There had to be thousands of them. The four of them had to fight together to defeat one spirit stone worm, and two worms could probably finish them all. There were thousands of worms out there. Without hesitation, Huashan ran toward the circle Little Phoenix had drawn. Xiao Xiao and Wang Ji looked at each other, both wondering if the circle would stop the worms. However, they didn't have any other choice. There was no way they could defeat all the worms. Those worms didn't even need to do anything. They could easily crush them with their weight alone. Everyone jumped into the circle, except for Ling Hao. The worms crawled toward them. The antennas on their heads were shaped like bolts, their bulging eyes glinted coldly, and their tongues flicked the way a snake's would. It was a bone-chilling sight. They moved very fast and reached the team in no time. The look in their eyes reminded one of hungry wolves. After being stuck here for so many years, they missed the taste of fresh human flesh. Seeing that Ling Hao had frozen on the spot, Xiao Xiao ran out of the circle and dragged him into it before the worms reached him. Only then did Ling Hao realize what was going to happen. Are we going to die? Are they going to eat us? I don't want to die. He was so frightened that he was almost in tears. Xiao Xiao was trembling as well, but he forced himself to calm down and fought back his fear. We have to trust Feng Wu. I'm sure we'll be fine. Only a moment ago, they had been complaining about Feng Wu, but now they realized that they really would have been a burden to her. How humiliating. The worms soon reached them. The circle wasn't all that big, and the worms were already 2 meters long. They moved closer and closer. Everyone was frightened out of their wits when the worms stopped. The leader of the worms had frightening eyes and was as long as 5 meters. It was at least a spiritual king. When it stopped, the other worms stopped as well. It seemed the other worms would follow their leader's order without question. The leader stretched out its head and sniffed around as if it was perplexed. It seemed to be searching for an old memory. Suddenly, it screeched in fear. It was an ear-splitting noise. The sound almost knocked the team out. Ling Hao burst into tears, thinking that he was going to die for sure. Just then, the leader of the worms spun around and ran back into the tunnel as fast as it could manage. The other worms seemed bewildered, because they weren't as sensitive as their leader. However, it didn't take them long to recover the same memory. The terror of the past haunted them once more. Chapter 27:13, Protective Circle 4. Chapter 27:13, Protective Circle 4. They all started retreating as if someone was hunting them. They disappeared as fast as they had arrived. Ling Hao was still screaming. Xiao Xiao grabbed his shoulder and shook him. "Stop! We're safe. They're gone." It took Ling Hao a while to quiet down because he had covered his ears with his hands. He raised his head and looked at Xiao Xiao in bewilderment. Gradually, his hearing recovered. He could hear what Xiao Xiao was saying. "The worms are all gone. We're safe. We're going to live," Xiao Xiao repeated loudly. Hearing this, Ling Hao looked around. He remembered that they had been surrounded by thousands of spirit stone worms, but they were nowhere to be seen now. Had it not been for the slime on the ground, he would think he had been dreaming. Ling Hao asked, "Are they all gone?" The others nodded. "Yes," Ling Hao said. "They stopped trying to eat us because we hid in the circle. Is that it?" The others nodded again. "Yes," Ling Hao said. "What kind of bird was that?" The others were amazed as well. Where did that bird come from? The worms only smelled its poop, and they were scared out of their wits. "Why do I feel like that bird has dealt with these worms before?" Huashan said curiously. "That's impossible," said Xiao Xiao. "This mine has been buried underground for many years, but that bird is about the same age as Feng Wu. How can it have seen the worms before? I think it has something to do with its bloodline. We owe her one again." Ling Hao was crestfallen. "Actually, we owe the bird a favor this time." Xiao Xiao smiled bitterly. "We should be used to it by now. We'll repay her little by little, I guess." They admired Feng Wu even more. That bird was definitely one of the legendary divine beasts, but Feng Wu was its master. What did that mean? A divine beast had recognized Feng Wu's ability. If that was the case, no other student in Imperial College was Feng Wu's match. Meanwhile, led by Little Phoenix, Feng Wu headed for where Shan Jingfei was. Shan Jingfei and her friends had run into many difficulties along the way. They entered the secret essence mine before Feng Wu did, but they soon got lost. There were countless tunnels underground, and they soon got lost. Moreover, they also ran into the spirit stone worms from the very beginning. At first, the worms appeared one at a time. Shan Jingfei was glad. She thought she would obtain enough crystal cores from these magical beasts. Xueqing team was with her, and they killed those beasts easily. However, things didn't remain that way. More and more worms appeared. At first, they came in 3s and 5s. Then there were 10, 20, and even 30 of them. Xueqing team could still handle 30 worms. However, there were soon hundreds of worms. Shan Jingfei burst into tears when they were surrounded by countless worms. Chapter 27:14, Critical Moment 1. Chapter 27:14, Critical Moment 1. What should we do now? Yihan and her teammates were cornered in a narrow cave. They were surrounded by spirit stone worms in all directions. Spirit stone worms charged at them like endless waves. They were gigantic creatures with bulging eyes which glinted coldly as they gnashed their teeth. They were ready to tear the 11 people to pieces. After Cheng Fong found them, the group now had 11 members. Xueqing team had the more capable members, so 3 of them stopped the attack from the front. 2 other members stayed in the rear, fighting back the worms that were following them. The narrow tunnel was blocked by the dead bodies of the worms, which made them think they were safe. However, they soon realized that they were too naive. The worms began to devour the bodies of their own kin. Oh my God! Shan Jingfei was nauseated by the sight. They're eating their own kind. That's insane. They trembled as they watched the worms tear apart the bodies with their sharp teeth. Their stomachs churned. Are we going to die? I don't want to die. Yihan was terrified when she was forced to face the possibility of death. Xueqing team went on killing the worms, guarding the others from the front and the back. They had no problem fighting a couple of worms at a time, but they were only human and would get tired eventually. They were already covered with worm bites and were getting weaker. They're not only disgusting, their bites are venomous as well. Yihan panicked. What should we do now? Shueqing team can't hold them back for much longer. Shan Jingfei was furious. She glared at Shueqing team and complained, I thought Xiuziyu would find me some capable students. They're not that useful, after all. Yi Hongxue hadn't been all that keen to help Shan Jingfei in the first place. They had only accepted the request to obtain a certain number of crystal cores, not protect some girl. They were doing these students a favor. They weren't obliged to help them out. Instead of thanking them for their kindness, Shan Jingfei was complaining. Who the hell did she think she was, a princess? Yi Hongxue smirked. Fine. If we're not good enough, do it on your own. After that, Yi Hongxue walked back to the team and sat on the ground to recover her strength. You, Shan Jingfei, stared at her in disbelief. How dare you? Yi Hongxue met her eyes. Watch me. I don't know you anything. Shan Jingfei considered herself the most popular girl in the school, and all boys were supposed to be in love with her. She gritted her teeth and sneered at Yi Hongxue. Have you forgotten your mission? You accepted the request. She had never seen Yi Hongxue as a senior student. Yi Hongxue meant nothing to her. However, Yi Hongxue wasn't threatened. Have you forgotten what our mission is? Chapter 2715, Critical Moment 2. Chapter 2715, Critical Moment 2. Shan Jingfei looked at Yi Hongxue in bewilderment. Yi Hongxue snorted. Our mission was to help you get 20 Class B crystal cores. Shan Jingfei wanted to retort, but Yi Hongxue glanced at her. We've killed way over 20 spirit stoneworms for you. Our mission is complete. Shan Jingfei was embarrassed. The praise she had received over the years had made her too arrogant. She couldn't believe anyone would dare treat her this way. Shan Jingfei ground her teeth. Are you saying you're not going to help us anymore? Yi Hongxue smirked. I don't know about your relationship with Xiuziyu, but he didn't hire us to protect you since it would be too expensive. Shan Jingfei looked like she had been slapped. He didn't know I would be in danger. Otherwise, Yi Hongxue cut her off. I don't care and I don't want to know. The bottom line is that Shueqing team has completed the mission. Your safety is none of our business. Shan Jingfei said, but you're a Class A student and our senior. As your senior, I'm going to give you a warning. Yi Hongxue rolled her eyes at Shan Jingfei. I'm doing you a big favor here, and I'm not obliged to help you. So keep your mouth shut. I'll throw you to the worms if you annoy me again. You, Shan Jingfei, was furious. Her face had turned scarlet red because she had never been humiliated like this before. However, she didn't dare say a word. She realized how displeased Yi Hongxue had become. Shui Hao. She changed her approach and turned to Shui Hao instead. However, Yi Hongxue glared at Shui Hao before Shan Jingfei could finish. Shui Hao, I'll be our team's acting captain for a while. Agreed? In a critical moment like this, no one wanted to deal with Shan Jingfei's whining, so Shui Hao immediately said, Great, I like that idea. Yi Hongxue glanced at Shan Jingfei, who looked like she was about to explode. Yi Hongxue went on, Since I'm a captain now, I order you to come back here and take a break. Shui Hao said, Who will fight off the worms? Yi Hongxue said, Don't they have the great Captain Shan Jingfei? She's supposed to be the top student in Class B. She shouldn't hide behind us and make us protect her. She'll be going to Peace Grassland soon, and she needs the practice. Go on. Shui Hao and his teammates cleared their throats. They came back, sat down next to Yi Hongxue, and started to recover their strength. Shan Jingfei and her team were under a lot of pressure. Yi Hongxue was right. Because Shueqing team had been protecting the others, Shan Jingfei and her team had the energy to stay at the back and complain. After Shueqing team fell back, Shan Jingfei and the others had to face the worms on their own. Shan Jingfei was in tears when she saw the drooling worms. Infuriated, she shouted at Cheng Fong. It's all your fault. Cheng Fong was dumbfounded. What? He had been worried about them and had come back to help them despite the danger. Was this what he got in return? Shan Jingfei didn't dare criticize Yi Hongxue, so she lashed out at Cheng Fong. Chapter 27:16 Critical Moment 3 Chapter 27:16 Critical Moment 3 If we hadn't followed you, we would never have walked into this tunnel. And if we hadn't walked into this tunnel, we would never have run into so many worms. It's all your fault. You're going to get us killed. Cheng Fong was dumbfounded. Shan Jingfei said, your paper crane can't be trusted. We shouldn't have followed it. Cheng Fong tried to explain. We can trust it. It knows the way. Feng Wu gave it to me and told me I could lead you out of the cave if I just followed the bird. We can get to the formation core. Shan Jingfei smirked and glanced at Yihan. Yihan immediately slapped Cheng Fong. Cheng Fong was shocked. Yihan was furious. Cheng Fong, you idiot. Cheng Fong didn't know what he had done wrong. Yihan said, did you say Feng Wu gave you the paper crane? Have you forgotten the grudge she holds against us? How can you trust her? Fine, you can trust her if you want to, but why did you bring us into it? That paper crane can lead us out of here and take us to the core. Do you even hear yourself? Feng Wu hates Shan Jingfei and me. She would kill us at the first opportunity. She wouldn't lead us somewhere safe. Plus, she's only human. She can't predict where we are, nor does she know the core. If she finds the formation core, she'll let that paper bird take us in the opposite direction. She'll send us to some worm nest. She doesn't know where the core is. She's simply making things up. In a word, she's evil. You didn't tell us in the beginning that the crane came from Feng Wu. Cheng Fong was overwhelmed by everything she said. I wanted to tell you, but you would shout at me as soon as I mentioned her name. Yihan said, you knew it then? Cheng Fong, can't you tell that Feng Wu wants to kill us? You're her accomplice. Cheng Fong was almost in tears. No, it's not like that. Feng Wu really can. Yihan wanted to choke him. Xin Jishuan frowned. Stop it. Help us with the worms. We can't hold them back much longer. Shueqing team was resting, and the remaining 6 people in the group weren't nearly as capable. They had to work together just to fight off one worm. Luckily, the tunnel was narrow, and the worms could only come in one at a time. Otherwise, they would have long been dead. It was easy to fight off the worms at first, but there were so many of them. Killing one worm didn't make any difference. When one fell, another would take its place. The worms learned from their failure. The worm at the front would push the dead body back so that the other worms could chew on it. It would then have direct access to human flesh. Yes, in their eyes, humans were no more than lumps of fresh meat. 15 minutes passed in that way. Yihan screamed. A worm had snatched her sword. Chapter 27:17 Critical Moment 4 Chapter 27:17 Critical Moment 4 The worm's teeth were so sharp that it chewed on the sword and swallowed it. It ate the sword. If it could eat metal without difficulty, what about human flesh? Everyone paled. Yihan was still shocked when a worm bit down on her neck. Yihan reacted quickly enough. The worm missed her neck and bit her on the shoulder. It buried its teeth in her flesh, and blood gushed out. Needless to say, it was excruciating. The worst thing was that the worms also fed on rotten meat they found underground, and their saliva was poisonous. Yihan was terrified and screamed at the top of her lungs. Before long, Shan Jingfei was injured as well. A worm bit her on the calf. She screamed and kicked the worm away, but it was too late. Her calf was swollen, and the affected area was expanding. Shan Jingfei felt dizzy. Was she going to die? More people were injured and fell. The situation was becoming more serious. Just then, they heard a strange chewing sound. What's that? Yihan was resting, and she cried out when she heard it. She searched for the source of the noise. What she saw terrified her, because it was coming from the walls. The tunnel was only wide enough for one person to pass through, and it had helped to block the worms out. However, they were gnawing on the stone walls now. They were creating large holes in the walls now. To be more precise, they had widened the tunnels. Multiple tunnels led to the place the students were in, and when the openings were widened, the tunnels combined into one. The space had opened up. Shan Jingfei and her friends turned ghastly pale. They trembled from head to toe and thought they were going to die here. Even members of Xueqing team seemed frightened. The worms made gloating sounds as they crawled toward their meal. I don't want to die, Yihan screamed. Shan Jingfei tried to contact Xiao Ziyu, but here in the mine, they were completely cut off in the outside world. Can someone help us? I don't want to die. If someone can save us, I promise I'll do whatever I can to repay them. However, nobody answered their distress call. 50 worms. 100. 200. It was as if all the worms in the mine were moving toward them. Shan Jingfei and the others lost all hope. They had never been so close to death before. The inevitable was about to happen. Hey, they suddenly heard a different sound. They looked up. They then saw a colorful bird that was only the size of a fist. It landed on Shan Jingfei's head. Chapter 27:18, Thief 1. Chapter 27:18, Thief 1. Everyone stared at the bird on Shan Jingfei's head. Isn't that Feng Wu's bird? What's it doing here? Why is it on Shan Jingfei's head? What does it want? Shan Jingfei couldn't see it, but she knew something was on her head. Of course, she wouldn't let a bird stand there. It was so humiliating. She wanted to brush the bird away. However, she was feverish from the worm's toxin and was too weak to lift a finger. What kind of bird was that? Meanwhile, the bird was looking at the worms. The spirit stone worms weren't intimidated at first. They even glared at little Phoenix. However, the bird then did something else. Everyone heard the sound of flowing water. What was that? They looked at one another in bewilderment. It had occurred to them. OMG, it was that bird. It had peed on Shan Jingfei's head. The pee was actually meant for the worms. But still, it was unbelievable. Yihan stared at Shan Jingfei in astonishment. Shan Jingfei had no idea what had happened until she picked up the smell. The stench. Shan Jingfei was furious, but she felt so weak that she was close to fainting. Get it off me. Kill it, she bellowed. Chung Fong said, no, don't do that. It's Feng Wu's bird. Feng Wu. Her again. That name made Shan Jingfei want to throw up. What happened next infuriated her further. Feng Wu showed up. She effortlessly made her way through the worms, finishing each worm with a single blow. Little Phoenix flew away from Shan Jingfei and went to help its master. Soon, Feng Wu killed most of the worms surrounding the team. They were amazed by her speed and skills. They were also still amazed by the bird, and by the time they looked around them again, they saw that the ground was covered in dead worms. Feng Wu turned to Yi Hongxue. Could you help me pick up the crystal cores, please? She had saved Yi Hongxue's life once, and Yi Hongxue was glad to return the favor. Plus, Feng Wu just saved them again. Yi Hongxue summoned her team. Together, they picked up all the crystal cores for Feng Wu. Feng Wu didn't come here just to save Shan Jingfei. She wasn't that nice. She realized she hadn't obtained enough crystal cores to make first place or support her future cultivation. Therefore, she had come all the way here to harvest some more. She drew out her fallen star sword and activated the 3 stances and ground control. As if they were put under a spell, the worms remained motionless while Feng Wu cut them down one after another. Their bodies were scattered all over the ground. It was efficient. Feng Wu killed over 100 worms in less than 5 minutes. The others were amazed. Why did the worms just remain still and let Feng Wu kill them? Chapter 27:19, Thief 2. Chapter 27:19, Thief 2. We can't just sit here. Shan Jingfei had recovered some strength, and an idea suddenly struck her. If Feng Wu took all the crystal cores here, she would probably become first in this hunt. However, Shan Jingfei was supposed to have secured that place. Therefore, she knew she had to intervene. If they all started killing the worms, Fengwu wouldn't be able to claim all the crystal cores, and everyone would take a portion. That was Shan Jingfei's plan. Despite still feeling weak, Shan Jingfei charged at the worms. But she couldn't even get close enough. Thump! She ran into an invisible shield and bounced off of it. Not only that, she landed on a dead worm that had its mouth open. Ouch! One couldn't begin to imagine how that would feel. Yihan and Xai Nishuan rushed to her side and tried to drag her out. It was probably because they also felt weak, but it took them forever to drag Shan Jingfei from the slimy mouth of that worm. Xai and Jishuan feigned a cheerful tone. You were so lucky, Jingfei. The worm was already dead when you fell into its mouth. Otherwise, Shan Jingfei shook with rage. She ignored Xai and Jishuan and just stared at Fengwu. Fengwu was still cutting down spirit stone worms. The worms didn't even try to dodge, and they let Fengwu slice them open. There were so many crystal cores. Why couldn't I get to her? Shan Jingfei wondered. Yi Hongxue walked past her at that moment and gave her an indescribable look. Seeing Yi Hongxue, Shan Jingfei shouted, Hongxue, give me a hand. Yi Hongxue was baffled. Shan Jingfei said, come here. I'm going to fall. She decided that Yi Hongxue should serve her instead of helping Fengwu. She thought Yi Hongxue would come to her as soon as she made the request. However, Yi Hongxue only rolled her eyes at her. She then ignored Shan Jingfei and walked toward Fengwu. She didn't even say a word to Shan Jingfei. Shan Jingfei had never been so angry in her life. She stared at Yi Hongxue from behind and said in a threatening tone, Yi Hongxue, are you going to disobey me? Yi Hongxue stopped. Shan Jingfei laughed inwardly, thinking that Yi Hongxue had to listen to her after all. She shouted at Yi Hongxue, give me all the crystal cores you have. Yi Hongxue turned around and looked at her in resignation, wondering when this princess would face reality. Shan Jingfei took her reaction for fear, so she stared at Yi Hongxue and urged, can't you hear me? Give me all your crystal cores. She was going to reap what she hadn't sown and steal all the crystal cores Fengwu had worked so hard to obtain. The idea soothed Shan Jingfei. To her surprise, Yi Hongxue said, you idiot. What? Chapter 2720, Thief 3. Chapter 2720, Thief 3. Shan Jingfei couldn't believe her ears. What did you say? Xai and Jishuan and Yihan heard every word. They were shocked. Yi Hongxue took a step forward and stared at Shan Jingfei. I thought that being the top student and class president of Class B, you would be smarter than the others. I see now that calling you a pig is an insult to pigs. What? Shan Jingfei pointed at Yi Hongxue, not knowing what to say. Yi Hongxue could be very mean when she wanted to. Pigs at least have eyes. Where are yours? Are you blind? Shan Jingfei said. Yi Hongxue gave Shan Jingfei one last glance before walking away. Shan Jingfei screamed. She was furious. She decided that things were a wreck now, and these people all wanted to take advantage of the situation. What a snobbish bunch. I'll remember this. Yi Hongxue, you won't get away with it. Shan Jingfei was so angry that she couldn't think straight. She jumped to her feet, but no one paid any attention to her. She forced herself to calm down. No, I have to control myself. Screaming like this will only destroy my image. I need to come up with a plan. She looked at the other members of Xu Etching team. Coercion had failed, so she had to change her approach. Shan Jingfei told Xai and Jishuan, I need you to do something for me. Yihan stared at Shan Jingfei in astonishment. The girl had been screaming a moment ago, but now she was perfectly composed. She could control herself so well. What a scary woman. Yihan felt a chill go down her spine. However, Xai Xuan knew Shan Jingfei well enough to see this coming. She didn't seem surprised at all. Go ahead. Xian Jishuan nodded. Shan Jingfei whispered something in Xian Jishuan's ear. Xian Jishuan hesitated, but her stomach lurched when she saw the warning look in Shan Jingfei's eyes. She immediately nodded. Yes, of course. Xing Xuan went to talk to Lin Junsheng, who had always been the more friendly one. Shan Jingfei smirked. Feng Wu, you're about 100 years too young to work against me. Feng Wu had killed all the spirit stone worms frozen to the spot by ground control. The worms further away had all escaped, frightened either by the fallen star sword or by Little Phoenix. They were nowhere to be seen. They had abandoned the bodies of their dead companions. Yi Hongxue counted the crystal cores she had collected. There were 300 in total. Someone stopped her when she was about to give the crystal cores to Feng Wu. Yi Hongxue stared at Shan Jingfei in disbelief. Had she lost her mind? She had told Shan Jingfei that the crystal cores belonged to Feng Wu. Thank you for gathering the crystal cores for me. I'll take it from here. Shan Jingfei smiled. The smile creeped Yi Hongxue out. Shan Jingfei, are you deaf? Chapter 2721, Thief 4. Chapter 2721, Thief 4. Shan Jingfei shook her head. No, I'm not. Yi Hongxue asked, so you don't understand the language I'm speaking. Shan Jingfei chuckled. I bet I know more languages than you do. Yi Hongxue said, in that case, listen carefully. Feng Wu is the one who earned these crystal cores, and she asked me to help her gather them. I'm giving them to her now. Understand? Do I need to repeat it for you? Shan Jingfei was still smiling. Hongxue, I think you're the one who doesn't understand what's going on. Shan Jingfei sounded like she thought everyone else was an idiot. Where did she get that kind of courage? What did she know that other people didn't? The others eyed her suspiciously and wondered what she was planning. Meanwhile, Feng Wu had finished killing the spirit stone worms. Hearing the argument, she came over to see what was going on. She wanted to know what ridiculous thing Shan Jingfei was trying now. Yi Hongxue frowned a little. What's that supposed to mean? Shan Jingfei looked at Lin Junsheng and smiled. Do you not know? Yi Hongxue asked. What am I supposed to know? Shan Jingfei said, I told Ziyu earlier that I might run into danger here. So I'm sure when he gave you the mission, that included the request to protect me and make sure I have enough crystal cores to become first. Yi Hongxue said, no, he didn't. Shan Jingfei said, yes, he did, but you forgot. Yi Hongxue said, no, I didn't. He only gave us one mission. We only needed to get 20 peak class B crystal cores. Shan Jingfei said, maybe he gave you a second mission. Yi Hongxue said, there was no such mission. Shan Jingfei said, maybe you weren't the one who accepted that mission. She sounded very pleased when she said that. Yi Hongxue frowned. Shan Jingfei said, why don't you ask your teammates? Maybe someone else might know. Yi Hongxue rolled her eyes at her. Shan Jingfei said, maybe Ziyu even specified in the request that you should defeat whoever tries to pick on me. Yi Hongxue laughed. That was pure delusion. Shan Jingfei sounded quite confident. Hongxue, don't laugh. I'm not making it up. Someone told me in person. Who told you that? Yi Hongxue was ready to slap someone. Shan Jingfei glanced at Lin Junsheng. Yi Hongxue didn't know what to say. Was this girl dreaming? Shan Jingfei pointed at Feng Wu and said viciously, she offended me. I'm ordering you to kill her right now. Yi Hongxue was speechless. She was astonished. This girl had to be out of her mind. Everyone gave Shan Jingfei strange looks when she pointed at Feng Wu. Shan Jingfei frowned and gave Lin Junsheng a warning look. Say something. Lin Junsheng smiled bitterly. Why do they have to pick him? Didn't you tell me that Ziyu gave you a second mission? Shan Jingfei stared at him. Tell everyone if it's true. Lin Junsheng said hesitantly. Can't we just let it be? Shan Jingfei smirked. Let it be? She had been humiliated. Of course she couldn't let it be. Just tell us the truth. Wasn't the second mission from Ziyu to follow my orders and get back at whoever offends me? Chapter 2722, you idiot. Chapter 2722, you idiot. Everyone looked from Shan Jingfei to Lin Junsheng. Lin Junsheng remained silent. Yi Hongxue glared at him. Answer the question. Shan Jingfei also stared at him. Yes, answer the question. Tell them that Ziyu gave you that mission. She couldn't wait to see what would happen next. She was so confident that Lin Junsheng would say yes. To her surprise, when Lin Junsheng spoke, he gave her a bitter smile. Shan Jingfei, I'm going to turn down your bribe. Bribe? Did Shan Jingfei try to bribe Lin Junsheng? Yi Hongxue and her teammates were already seeing Lin Junsheng in a different light, and his reply made them even more suspicious. Yi Hongxue asked, what bribe? Why did she want to bribe you? Shan Jingfei was dumbfounded. She couldn't understand why this was happening. Lin Junsheng smiled bitterly. Instead of answering Yi Hongxue, he turned to Shan Jingfei and said in resignation, I didn't want to say it because it would affect your reputation, but you kept pushing me. Shan Jingfei ground her teeth and glowered at him. He had turned her down. Yi Hongxue asked, what did she force you to do? Lin Junsheng didn't answer, but Yi Hongxue was smart enough to deduce the truth from Shan Jingfei's past behavior. She asked, did she ask you to make up the story about a second mission? Lin Junsheng nodded. Yi Hongxue said, how dumb is she? Lin Junsheng said, very, I guess. Very? Furious, Shan Jingfei glared at Yi Hongxue. Yi Hongxue only shook her head at her. You're such an idiot. Shan Jingfei's face went scarlet red. This wasn't the first time that Yi Hongxue had called her an idiot. Yi Hongxue didn't know what to say. Is that pretty head of yours just for decoration? Do you ever use your eyes? My entire team working together couldn't hold off those spirit stone worms, but Feng Wu killed hundreds of them all by herself. If the others hadn't fled, she would have killed a lot more. Has it ever occurred to you that she can probably defeat my whole team with a single strike? Shan Jingfei felt as if she had been struck by lightning. That abominable Yi Hongxue. Her words were even more annoying than she was herself. You know we can't possibly defeat Feng Wu, but you try to send us on a suicide mission. Do you seriously think we are as dumb as you are? Shan Jingfei was utterly speechless. Yi Hongxue was saying nothing but the truth, which was something Shan Jingfei hated to admit. Yi Hongxue ground her teeth. Was that your plan? To drag more people to their doom? If Lin Junsheng accepted your bribe and said yes, we would have died because of you. You think too highly of yourself. You, Shan Jingfei retorted. You haven't fought her. Why do you think you can't defeat her? Yi Hongxue shouted. Everybody in my team knows that. Chapter 27-23, You Hypocrite. Chapter 27-23, You Hypocrite. Shan Jingfei said, do you think she's a capable fighter because she killed all those spirit stone worms? That's not her real ability. She then pointed at the urine on the ground. The worms ran away because of this. Feng Wu didn't kill the worms on her own. That ugly bird helped her. Ugly bird? Little Phoenix didn't like that at all. Yi Hongxue said, you're hopeless. Lin Junsheng, tell her. Lin Junsheng cleared his throat. He and Yi Hongxue had feelings for each other, and he could understand Yi Hongxue's reaction when she heard that Shan Jingfei tried to bribe him. However, Shan Jingfei was a pretty girl, and Lin Junsheng didn't want to make things too difficult for her. He smiled wryly. Jingfei, Feng Wu is more capable than you think. Shan Jingfei shook her head. No, she had help from. Yi Hongxue couldn't take it anymore. What help? When my team was attacked by a flame snow lion, Feng Wu saved us all by herself. What? The news shocked everyone else. Feng Wu had saved Xueqing team. Xueqing was a Class A team and was one of the teams that was above average. That's impossible. Shan Jingfei turned pale and shook her head repeatedly. You're lying. It's a lie. If Feng Wu could save an entire team, then her cultivation level. Shan Jingfei really felt like an idiot now when she recalled how she had ordered Xueqing team to give her the crystal cores and punish Feng Wu for her. Yi Hongxue glanced at her in satisfaction. Now you see how dumb you are. Shan Jingfei murmured. She saved your lives, you said. Yi Hongxue said, yup. Shan Jingfei asked, when? When did that happen? Yi Hongxue said, before we fell into this mine. Shan Jingfei shouted, Then why did you accept the mission? Yi Hongxue rolled her eyes. If we had known that your rival was our savior, we would never have accepted the mission. Shan Jingfei shouted at Feng Wu. Why did you hide your true ability? Do you enjoy mocking other people? You're such a hypocrite. Feng Wu snapped. When did I hide my ability? Shan Jingfei said, yes, you did. If you hadn't, why would we have misjudged you? You pretended to be so weak in class. You didn't retort when other people said you're the weakest student in our class. You're so fake. Feng Wu suddenly smiled. Yes, some students said things about my grades, but there was another view, and I think we all heard it as well. What was it? The others said good looks were useless. A true goddess should be like Shan Jingfei, both pretty and capable. They said you're so much more capable than me, didn't they? Shan Jingfei's heart sank. Feng Wu said, however, I believe I already defeated you by then, right? We fought in front of all the tutors of the academy. Chapter 2724, Slap. Chapter 2724, Slap. Wow. Everyone stared at Shan Jingfei in astonishment. If that was the case, Feng Wu wasn't a hypocrite. She was only being modest. Shan Jingfei wasn't just proud. She was vain. Xing Xuan, Shan Jingfei's supposedly best friend, asked innocently, Fei Fei, is that true? The question was like a slap to Shan Jingfei's face. She had thought she had everything under control and had earned everyone's trust. However, she was filled with despair, and the fear of being abandoned almost devoured her. She glared at Feng Wu and wanted to tear her throat open. Feng Wu shrugged. I defeated you in 2 strikes. You didn't have enough time to see my true capability. Shan Jingfei spat out a mouthful of blood. She was so angry. She hated Feng Wu to the bone. Feng Wu glanced at her and shook her head. If only you're as good at accepting reality as you are at bullying people. Shan Jingfei said, Feng Wu, I'm going to kill you. Feng Wu shook her head in resignation. You'll have to get out of this place alive first. Shan Jingfei's face darkened. That was so true. Feng Wu had become the center of this group. Everyone respected her and followed her orders. She was more than capable of trapping Shan Jingfei here forever. Realizing this, Shan Jingfei gritted her teeth. Revenge was a dish better served cold. She could wait. Yi Hongxue went to Lin Junsheng and asked, what did she bribe you with? Look at the state she's in. What did she possibly offer? Lin Junsheng blushed. I can't tell you. Yi Hongxue pinched his arm and twisted. Ouch! Lin Junsheng cried out in pain. That hurts. It concerns a girl's honor. I can't tell you. A girl's honor? As in her chastity. It didn't take a genius to figure out what that meant. Shan Jingfei had struck everyone as an innocent girl before, so Yi Hongxue wouldn't have seen her that way. However, that image had been destroyed, and Yi Hongxue immediately saw what Lin Junsheng meant. You bitch! She walked up to Shan Jingfei and slapped her. You have no shame at all. Yi Hongxue shouted furiously. She then went to stand behind Feng Wu. Shan Jingfei was furious. She looked around with bloodshot eyes. You're all picking on me now? Fine. Once I get out of here, everyone who has offended me and those who stood there and just watch will answer for it. I'm going to kill you all. Let's go. Feng Wu couldn't care less what Shan Jingfei thought. She frowned and said, we shouldn't linger. Let's get out of here as soon as possible. The others all agreed. Feng Wu led the team, and Cheng Fong was right behind her. That was so terrifying. He still remembered the long, dark journey through the tunnels all by himself. He didn't want to go through that again. He decided he would stay close to Feng Wu no matter what. He didn't even try to see where Yihan was. Shueqing team followed behind Cheng Fong. Yihan looked at Shan Jingfei and Xing Xuan before she followed the others. Chapter 2725, Sacrifice. Chapter 2725, Sacrifice. The others also hastily followed Feng Wu. Only then did they realize who the leader of this group was. Staying close to Feng Wu was the only thing keeping them from getting eaten by the worms. Xing Xuan and Shan Jingfei were the only ones who didn't follow their teammates. Seeing the others walk away, Xing Xuan said hastily, "Fei Fei, we should go with them." Shan Jingfei smirked. "I'd rather die than go with her." Xing Xuan wished she could leave Shan Jingfei here. That way, this girl she had always been jealous of would disappear for good. However, despite the jealousy that was eating her up, Xing Xuan knew Shan Jingfei had to be alive if she wanted to continue freeloading off of Shan Jingfei's privileges. She tugged at Shan Jingfei. "This isn't the time to get angry. Remember the saying, where there is life, there is hope." After that, she grabbed Shan Jingfei's hand and dragged her toward the others. Shan Jingfei might have stubbornly said some things, but when Xing Xuan took her arm, she didn't try to resist. The tunnels were pitch dark and suffocatingly narrow. "Are you sure she can get us out of here?" Shan Jingfei smirked. "How do you know she knows the way?" Everyone else had remained silent, and her voice sounded exceptionally loud. No one answered her question. Shan Jingfei complained, "She's all safe walking in the front. What if the worms come from behind? She's so selfish." Yi Hongxue couldn't stand it anymore. She looked over her shoulder and threw a dirty look at Shan Jingfei, although no one could see it in the darkness. "Can you shut up for a minute?" Yi Hongxue said grumpily. "If you're so worried about Xiao Wu getting lost, don't follow us. Find your own way." Shan Jingfei was speechless. Yi Hongxue went on, "You waited for so long before following the team, so don't blame us for leaving you in the rear." Shan Jingfei didn't know what to say. Lin Junsheng tugged at Yi Hongxue. "I think you've made your point." In Yi Hongxue's eyes, Shan Jingfei was the woman who had tried to steal her man. That was something she would never forgive. She shouted at Lin Junsheng, "No, I haven't." She was using herself as the bribe. Why should I respect her when she doesn't even respect herself? Lin Junsheng remained silent. Shan Jingfei didn't know what to say. The air suddenly felt very thin. All words failed Shan Jingfei because she had said exactly those words when she sent Xing Xuan to bribe Lin Junsheng. In her current state, there was nothing she could offer to Lin Junsheng except herself. Of course, she wasn't actually going to do anything. However, she couldn't deny she had said such things. Yi Hongxue sounded so confident because she had interrogated Xing Xuan already. Everyone wished they were somewhere else. They wondered if Shan Jingfei would say something in retort to Yi Hongxue. Had she really? Feng Wu spoke at that moment. "I think we should change course." "What's going on?" the others asked. Feng Wu said, "Another team is being attacked by spirit stoneworms. We can take a detour and give them a hand. Why should we help them?" Chapter 27-26, The Reward. Chapter 27-26, The Reward. Why should we help them? Someone abruptly asked the question. Who was it? The others immediately recognized the voice. It was Shan Jingfei. They were all speechless. Yi Hongxue said, "You can shut up now." Shan Jingfei regretted it as soon as she blurted out those words. She was quick-tempered and impulsive. When she lost control, she would say anything. However, she would realize her mistake once she calmed down. She didn't like how Yi Hongxue spoke to her, but she stopped herself from saying anything. Soon, they heard the sounds of fighting. The team was in an open area connecting two tunnels. They were surrounded by countless spirit stoneworms. The team had 5 members. They all had armor on. However, the armor was covered in blood. Dead spirit stone worms were scattered around them. However, the more they killed, the more seemed to gather around them. The place was soon packed. Feng Wu looked from the worms to the 5 teenagers before she turned to Yi Hongxue. "The worms will take you all if you get too close." The worms indeed gave Yi Hongxue the creeps. She had yet to recover from her previous experience of facing so many worms. "We'll split up here. Go wait for me at the formation core." Feng Wu was going to help those 5 people in passing, but she now realized that it wouldn't be that easy. She would have to fight alongside them. Shan Jingfei smirked before Yi Hongxue could say anything. You're abandoning us, then? I knew it. I knew you wouldn't be that kind. Fengwu didn't know what to say. She couldn't be bothered to talk to Shan Jingfei. Shan Jingfei had always struck others as a goddess who wouldn't meddle in worldly affairs. However, she completely gave herself up after her true self was exposed. Yi Hongxue gave her a stern look before she turned to Fengwu. Are you going to save them? Fengwu nodded. I can't just walk past them when I have the ability to save them. Some of the tunnels had collapsed, and from the higher ground they were standing on, they could see all 5 team members. Yi Hongxue asked, Do you know who they are? Fengwu said, It doesn't matter who they are. Yi Hongxue smiled bitterly. No, it does. Fengwu asked why. Yi Hongxue said, They're from the military academy. Fengwu asked, The military academy. Lin Junqing nodded. The military academy and Imperial College are the top 2 schools in the empire. No other school can claim to be their equal. Fengwu understood what he meant. It was like the status which Oxford and Cambridge held. The 2 schools used to be on friendly terms, but the relationship deteriorated because of competition over resources. We've had quite a few conflicts with them. The military academy answers directly to the military, and they've made some impressive achievements over the years. Because of that, the empire has been allocating more and more resources to that school, and our school has shown signs of decline. That's just how he described the situation. The truth is, Lin Junqing looked at Fengwu. The truth is that we're no longer as powerful as the military academy. Chapter 27:27, Stand on Her Head. Chapter 27:27, Stand on Her Head. Fengwu said, I see. Lin Junqing said, I believe you may have heard that the allocation of resources for the 2 schools is determined by the annual martial arts competition. It's open to all schools, but our school and theirs are really the only participants. The school that wins will get mining rights, not to this secret essence mine, but to the Cloud Essence Mine in the Western District. The winner will also get access to the Imperial Cultivation Room. The resources are more significant than you think because of the mining rights. Imperial College has been winning much less frequently over the years. The military academy has been on the rise and is catching up to us in all aspects. Fengwu asked, That was a very long speech. What's your point? Lin Junqing scratched his head. What I'm saying is that I know those 5 people. Fengwu asked, Are they students from the military academy? Lin Junqing smiled bitterly. I wouldn't have told you all that if they were just ordinary students from the military academy. Fengwu stared at him. Lin Junqing suddenly asked, The winner of Class B will join the seeded team, right? Everyone nodded. Lin Junqing said, Those 5 people are members of the military academy's seeded team. All eyes were on Fengwu. Fengwu frowned. So, Shan Jingfei lost her temper again. She sneered at Fengwu. Are you going to save them? They're enemies. They're also from the seeded team. Do you know what that means? It means they're the best students in their Class A. You have some ability, I'll give you that. However, do you seriously think you're better than Class A students? You should give up on that idea before you make a fool of yourself. Fengwu frowned and glanced at Shan Jingfei. This woman talked too much. Shan Jingfei went on. I don't care whether you live or die. If you insist on saving them, go ahead. I won't stop you. Fengwu said, I know why you're saying that. You're afraid that if I die, no one will get you out of here. You're scared of the worms. Shan Jingfei was speechless. Fengwu asked Little Phoenix, why did he go with them? Little Phoenix didn't like that idea at all. It tilted its head and thought for a moment. Then it flapped its wings. It landed on Shan Jingfei's head again. Everyone had taken out luminescent pearls by then, and they had enough light to see what was going on. Then, they spotted the bird on Shan Jingfei's head. No, what was it doing? They heard a trickling sound. That sound. Wait, what's happening? Is it raining? Shan Jingfei felt something warm on her hair before she smelled the stench. Wretch. She threw up. She wanted to kill the bird that had peed on her head. However, Little Phoenix immediately flew away. Everyone looked from Little Phoenix to Shan Jingfei. Oh God, The last time it stood on Shan Jingfei's head, it had peed at the worms, but now. Chapter 2728, The Second Team. Chapter 2728, The Second Team. Everyone wanted to throw up. They involuntarily stepped away from Shan Jingfei. Shan Jingfei was so angry that she wanted to kill the bird. Feng Wu didn't have time to waste, and she snapped. The worms won't attack you anymore. Little Phoenix is doing you a favor. A favor? Shan Jingfei glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu nodded. My bird is those worms, big boss. They'll stay away from you when they pick up the bird's scent. You'll be safe. Shan Jingfei wouldn't believe it. She wasn't alone. Yi Hongxue wasn't convinced either. Feng Wu said, we don't have much time, and you should get going. When I detonate all the worms, I'm not sure I can save all of you in time. The thought of all the worms exploding together was blood-curdling. Yi Hongxue hesitated and opened her mouth. In the end, she didn't say anything. She only nodded at Feng Wu and walked away with Chang Feng behind her. Soon, everyone was gone. Feng Wu and Little Phoenix were left on their own. Little Phoenix complained, my bladder is empty. It patted its stomach and sounded quite sorry. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Feng Wu was wearing the uniform of Imperial College. However, it had become quite dirty after all the fighting. She took a robe out of her storage space and wrapped it around herself. She then headed for the 5 people. Apart from saving those people, she also needed the practice. She had only completed 50% of her breakthrough to the spiritual king stage. She needed to pick up her pace. She attacked the worms without asking Little Phoenix to pee again. Fallen Star Sword. Ground control. Thump, thump, thump. The worms were frozen on the spot and killed. At first, Feng Wu could kill 1 worm with 1 strike. Before long, she could kill 2 at a time. The Fallen Star Sword and ground control worked better and better together, as if they had combined into one. Feng Wu was fighting in the outer circle, and the military academy students were in the center, so they had no idea that she was out there. The seeded team they belonged to was also known as the second team. Their clothes were in tatters, and they were covered with bruises and cuts. However, they remained perfectly calm and were still fighting with all their might. As time passed, more worms kept coming, and they began to feel desperate. Captain Wei. The speaker's name was Lian Xiao. His sword had gone blunt from striking the worms. He could hardly cut through their skin. Captain, we can't keep going like this. We're all injured, and we won't hold our ground for much longer. Luo Mo, his teammate, nodded. That's right. We could die here, and the school won't know what happened. The captain was called Lan Xiefeng. He pursed his lips and asked gravely, What are you suggesting? Lian Xiao and his teammates looked at one another before answering the question. Lian Xiao said, Captain, you're the most capable member of our team. If one of us can get out, it has to be you. We'll cover you and make sure you can get out. The other 3 members all nodded. Chapter 2729, Contempt. Chapter 2729, Contempt. Lan Xiefeng knew they would say that, and he wouldn't let that happen. I'm not leaving you, dead or alive. We're a team. Captain, the other 4 pleaded. Lan Xiefeng shook his head. I won't do it. If you don't go, we'll all die. If you get out alive, at least you can collect our bones later. Lan Xiefeng hesitated for a moment, but shook his head in the end. No, we'll kill these worms together and get out of here. Lian Xiao sighed. He knew his captain would say that, but who would have thought this would happen after we returned from Peace Grassland? This valley appeared out of nowhere, and we fell into this secret essence mine. Now, we have to face so many worms. The others were as full of despair as he was. Luo Mo screamed at that moment. Everyone looked in his direction. A giant worm had jumped into the air when they weren't looking, and it bit Luo Mo's left arm. Luo Mo was taken by surprise. Crack! He immediately sliced the worm in half and freed his left arm. However, he was already wounded. The worm's sharp teeth had dug into his arm, but the blood that oozed out wasn't red. The worms are venomous. Lu Hao gritted his teeth. Be careful. They were as capable as they were said to be. Not only did they have tough minds, they also had a high tolerance toward poison. Yi Hongxue and her teammates were from Class A as well, but the venom had still affected their minds. Feng Wu had to give them a potion to neutralize the toxin. However, the worm's bite didn't affect Lu Mo's movements. As the number of wounds increased, however, they started to get exhausted. Their hands were all swollen. However, they gritted their teeth and kept on fighting. They were drained of spiritual essence, and they were stumbling as if they could collapse at any moment. However, they still decided to fight until they were dead. Lu Mo seemed to have lost all hope. We fought our way out when we were surrounded by Dongsang soldiers. I would never have thought we would be killed by some worms one day. Lien Xiao said, Where did this secret essence mine come from? How'd we get here? I survived the Dongsang battlefield, only to die in my homeland. This is ridiculous. His teammate chimed in. If I knew this was going to happen, I would have killed more Dongsang soldiers in Peace Grassland. I killed 13. I killed 15. I think Captain Lon killed 30. Guys, we've killed our fair share of enemies. We don't have any regrets. Thump. Lu Mo was the first to fall. He was finally drained of energy, and his legs gave out. Hey, where are the worms going? They've turned away. Lien Xiao caught Lu Mo and dragged him back. He was about to charge at the worms when he saw that they had all turned in the opposite direction. What did that mean? Was it contempt? Chapter 27:30, Fairy. Chapter 27:30, Fairy. What did that mean? Was it contempt? Lan Xiefeng and the others looked at each other in astonishment. But it was good news for them. They were barely holding their ground, and the worms had been about to devour them. However, the worms suddenly spun around and ran in the opposite direction. What's over there? Why are they all so agitated? Lien Xiao asked curiously. Just then, Ma Hao, who had climbed onto a rock, shouted, Look, someone's over there. There's someone else in this godforsaken place. They all climbed onto the rock and looked into the distance. They were shocked by what they saw. It's true. Someone really is there. Look at that speed and the swordplay. Is that a human being? Is she a teenage girl? Can she be a fellow military academy student? Of course not. We would recognize her if she were one of us. We've never had such a capable girl, anyway. I think she's as capable as Captain Lon. Lan Xiefeng smiled bitterly. Don't make fun of me. I'm nowhere near as capable as she is. Look, she cut off the heads of several worms in one strike. She makes it look as easy as chopping vegetables. His teammates had to agree with him because this girl was incredible. She had killed over 100 worms during the short time that they were watching her. She was surrounded by dead spirit stone worms. Her bright red dress was set off against the dead worms. It was almost a disturbing scene. Is she killing the worms? Why does it look like she's dancing? What kind of swordplay is that? Her sword went through 3 worms in one go. Gosh, are you seeing this? She's not killing spirit stone worms. She's training herself. Yes, she's been using the same 3 stances so that she can hone her skill. At first, she could only kill 3 worms in one strike, but she can kill 5 now. It's amazing progress in such a short amount of time. Is she even human? She looks like a fairy. I agree. She's definitely a fairy. A fairy of the secret essence mine has come to rescue us. The 5 teenagers were so glad that they wept. I'm getting a crush on her. Me too. They were so excited that they couldn't form coherent sentences. Somehow, none of them could believe Feng Wu was real. At first, the worms were screeching fiercely. Feng Wu had made an agreement with Little Phoenix that it wouldn't interfere while she practiced her skills. However, it never occurred to either of them that Feng Wu would get lost in her training. She went on fighting. Dead spirit stone worms piled up around her until she realized that there were no more worms to kill. She finally put down her sword and gradually returned to reality. When she looked up, she saw 5 astonished faces. They were 5 teenagers. Their eyes were wide open as they gaped at Feng Wu. It was as if they were seeing a ghost. Feng Wu frowned and asked Little Phoenix in her head, "How long has it been?" "1 day and 1 night," said Little Phoenix in amazement. Chapter 2731, Spiritual King. Chapter 2731, Spiritual King. Even Feng Wu was astonished. 1 day and 1 night? It can't be. She stared at Little Phoenix in disbelief. How could it be so long? It only felt like 5 minutes to me. Little Phoenix sighed. Because you were in the sword spirit state. Feng Wu asked. The sword spirit state. Little Phoenix nodded. It's extremely difficult to achieve that state, even for my master. Once you're in that state, the results are very rewarding. Feng Wu said, I don't feel all that rewarded. She examined herself as she spoke. Then, she abruptly stopped talking. That was because, to her astonishment, she was much closer to reaching the spiritual king stage now. She had only made 50% progress before, but she was at 99% now. She was so close to making the breakthrough. Just then, something clicked in Feng Wu's head. The spiritual king stage. She sat down with her legs crossed and started cultivating in front of the 5 teenagers. There was a huge gap between the spiritual lord stage and spiritual king stage. These 5 teenagers belonged to the second team of Class A at the military academy. That was to say, they were ranked 6th to 10th in the military academy. Lan Xiefeng, the captain, was a peak level 8 spiritual lord, whereas his teammates were advanced level 8 spiritual lords. Feng Wu had just reached the spiritual king stage. The 5 teenagers weren't spiritual kings, but they had met some before and knew what their energy felt like. They had always been led by spiritual kings in Peace Grassland. But now, this girl, she was a pretty girl who was no more than 14 years old, but she was already a spiritual king. OMG, the 5 people looked at one another and didn't know what to say. She wasn't a spiritual king at first, was she? I thought that stage was very hard to reach. I heard you need to be at least 20 years old to comprehend the process and make the breakthrough. Can she really be a fairy from another world? 2 hours later, Feng Wu finally processed all her spiritual essence. The spiritual king stage was as impressive as it was said to be. Although she was only a junior spiritual king, she felt full of strength, as if she could punch through rock. Just then, a giant spirit stone worm charged at her. Watch out, it's a spirit stone worm king. Lan Xiefeng cried out to warn Feng Wu. It was the leader of the spirit stone worms. The fleeing worms must have gone back to their leader with the news, which was why the king had appeared. According to Little Phoenix, spirit stone worms were about the size of fleas when they were born. After being stuck here in the secret essence mine for so many years, they had grown larger and larger until they were as big as grown men. As for the approaching leader of the worms, it moved as fast as a cheetah. Everything happened so fast. Chapter 2732. Are you talking about Zhuqingwan? Chapter 2732. Are you talking about Zhuqingwan? It moved as fast as a cheetah. Everything happened so fast. Feng Wu raised a hand and smacked the giant worm on the head. Thump! The worm smashed into the wall. The impact shattered the wall completely. OMG, am I seeing things? Isn't that worm a spiritual king? What happened astonished all 5 teenagers, and they stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. She was also pleasantly surprised by this breakthrough. She had been here for a whole day, and her friends were still at the formation core. They had to be so worried. She immediately took off. Lan Xiefeng and the others called after Feng Wu when they saw that she was leaving. Miss, please let us thank you. They all dropped to their knees and prostrated themselves on the ground. Feng Wu saw their injuries and tattered clothes, which made her wonder. She asked, Did you just come back from Peace Grassland? The teenagers nodded. Feng Wu said, You're all very brave. Good job. She then handed a paper crane to Lan Xiefeng. Follow the bird. It'll lead you out of this mine. Before they knew it, she was out of sight. It felt great to walk away from doing a good deed and remain anonymous. Feng Wu chuckled to herself. According to Lin Junsheng, these 5 people were ranked 6th to 10th in the military academy. Imperial college students with the same ranking would be so arrogant, but those 5 were very well behaved. She found them adorable. Lan Xiefeng and his team only realized what had happened after Feng Wu was gone. Our fairy is gone. Just like that. The thought of not seeing her again made them sad. I wonder if we'll ever see her again. I have such a big crush on her now. She's a fairy. Of course we won't see her again. Didn't you hear what she said? She asked if we had come back from Peace Grassland. The sporadic battles between the Empire and the Dongsang Kingdom in Peace Grassland are recent events, and only a few people in the Empire know about them. That's right. Apart from the military, only students from Class B and above in our school and Imperial College are qualified to fight in these battles. That fairy mentioned Peace Grassland, so she has to be human. Not only that, she's also from one of the 2 schools. The 2 schools? Who are you kidding? There's no one like her in the military academy. In that case, is she a senior student from Imperial College? No way. She's a spiritual king. Only the tutors who led us in Peace Grassland were spiritual kings. How can she be a student? Since when did Imperial College have such a capable member? We'll ask around once we get back. She's too impressive to be kept a secret, even if she's a teacher. Look, there are inscriptions on the paper crane. What level are the inscriptions? The paper crane isn't just alive. It can show us the way out of here. They went back to the military academy. The most famous tutor in Imperial College recently. Do you mean Miss Zhua Qingwan, the head of the War Academy? Chapter 2733, The School's Reaction. Chapter 2733, The School's Reaction. Things were quite noisy when Feng Wu reached the formation core. Xiao Xiao and the others had waited and waited. They felt uneasy and looked forward to seeing Feng Wu. They didn't have any provisions with them because they had been in Thousand Night Forest. There were magical beasts everywhere in the forest, and they could roast meat over a fire. There was no need to bring their own food. However, they had never expected to end up in this secret essence mine. By then, they hadn't eaten for days and were starving. Do you have any food on you? Ling Hao asked. All the other team members shook their heads, smiling bitterly. They missed the roast chicken which they had carelessly thrown away in the outside world. They were surrounded by dead spirit stone worms, but no one could bring themselves to eat those things. They could only stay in the circle and didn't dare venture out. They waited and waited. They thought Feng Wu would come back when they finally saw Yi Hongxue and the others. After that came more waiting. But Feng Wu was still nowhere to be seen. They were patient at first, but gradually they became anxious. Do you think something happened to Feng Wu? Huashan paled. He alone knew how well-connected Feng Wu was. The crown prince cared for her. We shouldn't just wait here. Let's go out and look for her. Apart from Shan Jingfei and Yi Han, everyone else went out to look for Feng Wu. However, as soon as they stepped out of the formation core, they were surrounded by spirit stone worms. There were so many worms that the tunnels were packed. They had never seen so many worms before. God, have all the worms in the mine gathered here? They're moving closer. We're their targets. Oh no, we should go back. Xiao Xiao led the others back to the circle. It was big enough for 4 people to stand inside, but there were over 10 people now, and the circle was too small. Everybody get in, Xiao Xiao shouted. This is a protective circle. The worms won't attack us when we're inside. Get in. Feng Wu's team had survived waves of attacks by hiding in the circle, and they jumped back in without hesitation. Yi Hongxue and her team had spent time in Peace Grassland and were used to following orders, so they jumped into the circle as well. Shan Jingfei didn't like the idea at all. She found the circle too small. It would never fit all of them. You're counting on this thing to stop the worms. I don't buy it. Yihan shook her head. Apart from Yihan, Xing Xuan, and Shan Jingfei, everyone else went inside the circle. The circle couldn't take more people either. The worms attacked again. Boom! That was going to be their last attack. The original Worm King was dead, and the worms would compete among themselves until they had a new leader. While the students were trapped in the secret essence mine, the academy was informed of what had happened. Only a handful of students had fallen into the secret essence mine, while most people were lucky enough to remain on the surface. The tutors came to their rescue and brought them back to the school. The school realized something wasn't right when they counted the number of students. Chapter 2734, Chu Tian Shao. Chapter 2734, Chu Tian Shao. The school realized something wasn't right when they counted the number of students. Mr. Yang, how many of your students are missing? Asked Gong Sun Mu. Mr. Yang was overwhelmed with anxiety. Many have come back, but a few students are missing, including Shan Jingfei. The other tutors paled when they heard this. Meanwhile, the school officials held a meeting. Over 10 people attended, including the 2 deputy chiefs and the tutors of classes A and B. Shan Jingfei is the best student in Class B. That place in the seeded team is meant for her. The Class A tutor told the truth. No one said a word for a while. Miss Jingwan, what do you think? Everybody looked at her. Zhuo Qingwan hadn't made any achievements ever since she became the deputy chief, nor had she said anything convincing. Because of her background, people hadn't said anything at first. However, dissatisfaction would accumulate over time. Zhuo Qingwan raised her eyebrows. Do we know why this has happened? Why did the secret essence mine appear? Gong Sun Mu nodded. We sent some elders to check the area and found it to be the consequence of the actions of some very capable cultivators. The entire Thousand-Night Forest was split in half by a great valley, which was why the secret essence mine surfaced. How capable? Zhuo Qingwan asked. Gong Sun Mu smiled bitterly. Well, I can't say for sure. Just then he suddenly straightened his back. He rose to his feet and listened carefully. Everybody was surprised. What was happening? Why did he look like his mind was elsewhere? Zhuo Qingwan was alarmed. Her master had communicated with her several times that way, and she wondered if Gong Sun Mu was doing the same thing. Yes, sir, Gong Sun Mu said to someone in a respectful tone, before he turned to the others. I know what happened, he said solemnly. The valley was indeed the result of a battle between 2 capable cultivators. Who were they? Zhuo Qingwan asked curiously. Could it be someone as capable as her master? Gong Sun Mu said one name, Chu Tian Shao. What? Almost everyone jumped to their feet. Chu Tian Shao? How could it be him? I thought he was dead. Chu Tian Shao, as in the greatest swordsman. Isn't he the disciple of Mu Jiuzhou, who used to rule this continent? Oh my God, Mr. Yang almost fainted. He's like a god. Why would he come here? In their minds, Chu Tian Shao was as good as a figure from the legends. He was still alive. How old would he have to be? Zhuo Qingwan paled. Chu Tian Shao. He had once accused Zhuo Qingwan's master of being inhuman in front of everyone, and had rendered her master speechless. He had humiliated Firmament Palace. Why was he here? Chapter 2735, Rescue. Chapter 2735, Rescue. Everyone was surprised by that name. That person was supposed to be a figure from the history books. Why was he here? Chief Gong Sun, is that true? Still unconvinced, the others asked Gong Sun Mu the question. Gong Sun Mu had never been so serious before. He nodded and said, The chief told me himself. Mr. Yang let out a breath of relief. The secret essence mine disappeared for many years, and Imperial College was never able to locate it. That legendary man is the only person who could have exposed it with a single strike. It was rather terrifying to think about. It had only taken that man one strike to expose the secret essence mine, which Imperial College hadn't been able to locate for years. The school knew the area that the secret essence mine was in, but the mine had its own formation, which had been active the whole time. There was nothing the school could do about it. What should we do now? Everyone looked at Gong Sun Mu. Mr. Yang said, Shan Jingfei and her 4 teammates are all inside, as well as Xiao Zhao's team. Gong Sun Mu asked, is Feng Wu missing? Feng Wu had effortlessly defeated Shan Jingfei, and she was the future of Imperial College. Mr. Yang nodded solemnly. Yes, she's inside, too. He then handed over the list of names. The 5 members of Shan Jingfei's team, the 6 members of Xiao Zhao's team, and Yi Han. There were 12 of them in total. Just then, Mr. Duan of Class A received a message. What? He looked at Xiao Ziyu and cried out. Did you say Yi Hongshue's Shiweching team? Xiao Ziyu had been scared to deliver the news, but the mission he had handed out was recorded in the system, and he couldn't keep it a secret. There are 17 people inside. Mr. Duan's face darkened. Are we going to lose 17 elite students this time? Gong Sun Mu's face was livid. Of the 17 elite students, Feng Wu was the most important one. Gong Sun Mu gritted his teeth. We have to find them. But how? Mr. Yang frowned. The secret essence mine is protected by a formation. We can't get close enough, not to mention the 80,000 tunnels. We will be trapped inside forever. Zhuo Qingwan was the only person who was happy to hear the news. It had never occurred to her that her archenemy would die so easily. She had been ready for a battle, but her enemy died before she could do anything. It gave her no sense of achievement at all. However, Feng Wu was dead, and that was good news. Despite her joy, Zhuo Qingwan put on a sad face. The 17 students may still be alive. We have to do something. We'll spare no effort, regardless of whether or not we can save them. Mr. Duan glanced at her, amazed by that little speech. He then turned to Gong Sun Mu and asked, Sir, what do you think? Gong Sun Mu glanced at his subordinate, who quickly walked away. Chapter 2736, Elder May. Chapter 2736, Elder May. Needless to say, the subordinate had gone to get some help. Gong Sun Mu rose to his feet and said, We can't delay anymore. Let's go to the secret essence mine. All the tutors went with him. It was like Mr. Yang had said. Because of the formation, people felt dizzy before they got close to the secret essence mine. They couldn't even stand still. They had to stop when they were several hundred meters away. Things had been calm when Feng Wu and the others were still outside the mine. However, the formation had been activated when they went in. The secret essence mine was surrounded by a powerful wind that could cut one's skin open. The area within 100 meters of the secret essence mine had become a meat grinder. Mr. Gong Sun, what should we do? Everyone looked at Gong Sun Mu. Gong Sun Mu's face darkened. They couldn't get close to the mine, let alone enter it. Mr. Yang volunteered. Sir, shall I give it a go? Gong Sun Mu didn't answer. Mr. Yang said solemnly, Sir, my students are trapped inside, and they're my responsibility. They may still be alive. I can't just stand here and let them die. Gong Sun Mu nodded. Give it a go. Come back here immediately if it doesn't feel right. Mr. Yang nodded. He took a deep breath and commanded the wind, Stop. Then, he charged at the secret essence mine like a shooting arrow. If the wind hadn't been blowing, Mr. Yang could have reached the mine in a split second. But now, as he approached the windy zone, he covered his entire body with his spiritual essence. But he backed away before he could reach the mine. When he returned, the others were shocked to see the state he was in. How did that happen? His face was covered with cuts. So were his hands and his entire body. His clothes were in tatters. He was covered in blood. Mr. Yang, are you all right? The others asked in concern. Mr. Yang shook his head. The wind is too strong. I exerted all my strength, but I still couldn't enter. Mr. Yang was a spiritual king. If even he couldn't enter, the only way is to stop this wind. Mr. Duan frowned. How? This is a level 8 formation, and we can't stop it once it has been activated. If we could do that, we wouldn't have to wait for so many years. Mr. In smiled bitterly. Gong Sun Mu was a capable cultivator but he knew very little about formations and didn't know what to do. Elder May is here. Gongsun Mu's servant arrived with Elder May. Elder May. The name was a pleasant surprise. Imperial College had more than these tutors and chiefs. The school was full of culture and history, and the tutors alone wouldn't be able to support such a complicated system. Imperial College had 36 mysterious elders in total. Chapter 2737, Elder May's Arrival. Chapter 2737, Elder May's Arrival. The elders lived in the deepest corners of the campus and hardly ever came out. They would only make an appearance when they found a student they were interested in. Elder May was one of the mysterious elders. The teachers were familiar with him because he was in charge of maintaining Imperial College's formation. Of course, ordinary students still didn't know who he was. Master, a middle-aged man, stepped out from behind Mr. Duan. He was Mr. Su, who taught formations and inscriptions in Imperial College. Elder May used to be his teacher. Mr. Su worked in the War Academy, whereas Mr. Wu, whom Feng Wu had met, taught formations in the junior years. Mr. Su had tried to solve the formation in the secret essence mine, but he couldn't comprehend any of it and had to ask Elder May for help. If Elder May didn't know what to do, no one would. Although Gongsun Mu was the vice director of the War Academy, he was only in charge of daily errands. All of the 36 elders were more senior than him. Zhuo Qingwan had become a vice chief because Zixuan recommended her before her voluntary retirement, and also because people believed her to be Jun Lingyuan's future wife. However, to become an elder, one had to have adequate capability and seniority. One's connections didn't matter. Gongsun Mu's career path would lead him toward becoming an elder one day. Elder May walked toward them at an unhurried pace. Despite his old age and white hair, he had a youthful complexion and seemed to be in high spirits. Elder May. Everybody greeted the old man. They hardly had the chance to meet such a prominent figure. Elder May nodded and waved them off, caring little for formality. Zhuo Qingwan was thrilled to see Elder May. She had learned formations and inscriptions in Firmament Palace. Her tutor had instructed her to become acquainted with Elder May when she came to the Imperial capital and to learn formations and inscriptions from him. She had come to the War Academy as a vice chief, not only to humiliate Feng Wu, but also to try and meet Elder May. Her eyes lit up when she saw the old man. She quickly stepped forward and greeted him. "It's an honor to meet you, Elder May." All Elder May cared about now was solving the formation in the secret essence mine. He frowned a little when a pretty teenage girl suddenly blocked his way. To someone so obsessed with formations, every face was the same as the next, and Zhuo Qingwan's stunning looks didn't leave an impression on him. He only nodded before turning his attention to the secret essence mine. His top priority was to stop the wind. He could only reach the entrance after the wind stopped. After that, he would have to face the intricate tunnels in the mine. Meeting Elder May was such a rare chance that Zhuo Qingwan desperately wanted to impress him. She was displeased when Elder May ignored her. She had always been the center of attention. All her seniors appreciated her talent, and no one had ignored her like this before. Chapter 2738, The Crown Prince's Fiancé. Chapter 2738, The Crown Prince's Fiancé. Zhuo Qingwan took another step forward and beamed at the old man. "I'm Zhuo Qingwan." However, Elder May cut her off impatiently and scolded her. "What's your problem, young lady? Can't you see how busy I am? I don't have time to exchange pleasantries. Out of my way." No one had ever spoken to Zhuo Qingwan like that before. The old man made her sound like an unruly child when she was, in fact, the sacred lady of Firmament Palace. Even my master, the head of Firmament Palace, has never talked to me like that. "You old fool," thought Zhuo Qingwan, her face twisted with rage. Ahem. The others looked away in embarrassment. "Mister Wang of Class D had openly opposed Feng Wu, so Zhuo had contacted him beforehand and paid him to keep slandering Feng Wu. Seeing what was going on, Wang stepped out and smiled obsequiously. Elder Mei, Miss Qingwan is our new vice chief. He tried to remind the old man to show the girl some respect. However, it only made Elder Mei dislike Zhuo even more. He didn't pay much attention to her at first, but Mr. Wang mentioned vice chief. What vice chief? Elder Mei frowned. Mr. Wang smiled. Chief Zishuan went to Peace Grassland, so she made Miss Qingwan the acting vice chief. Miss Qingwan is very capable. Nonsense. Elder Mei cut him off. If Zishuan is absent, it's the school who decides who will replace her. She's just a vice chief. She has no right to hand out job offers. Everyone fell silent, and Zhuo felt mortified. Elder Mei turned to Gongsun Mu. Is this how you've been running the War Academy? Do you think the elders are dead? Gongsun Mu smiled bitterly. Miss Sua is the sacred lady of Firmament Palace. The master of the palace wrote a letter herself. Elder Mei's face darkened. Is this place Imperial College or Firmament Palace? Since when can her letter guarantee a position in our school? Are they handing out random job offers now? This is preposterous. Elder Mei bellowed. You people are making a mess while the elders are focused on Peace Grassland. Are you trying to give us a heart attack? No, it's not like that. Gongsun Mu tried to explain himself. However, Elder Mei wouldn't let him. The chief is cultivating in seclusion, and the 36 elders are either in seclusion or watching Peace Grassland. I thought you could run the school properly, but you've disappointed me. Seeing Zhuo Qingwan's pale face, Mr. Wang said awkwardly, it was His Royal Highness, Elder Mei. His Royal Highness gave the order to make Miss Qingwan vice chief. What? Elder Mei frowned. Jun Linyuan. Elder Mei might not trust Gongsun Mu, but he had faith in the Crown Prince. Did he say so in person? Elder Mei wasn't convinced. The Crown Prince had some questionable taste in women. However, Mr. Wang sounded very convinced when he said, yes, Miss Qingwan is His Royal Highness's fiancée, and they're going to get married soon. Zhuo Qingwan's stomach lurched. Chapter 2739, Ancient Skills. Chapter 2739, Ancient Skills. Miss Qingwan, isn't that right? Mr. Wang smiled at Zhuo Qingwan. Zhuo Qingwan didn't know what to say. Yes, when she came to the War Academy, she had arranged people to spread rumors about her relationship with the Crown Prince. However, the rumor was just that they were a couple and never said anything about them being engaged, let alone getting married. Mr. Wang's question put her in a difficult spot. She could deny the rumors if she was questioned. She could claim that she was also a victim of the rumors and knew nothing about it. However, if she said so now, it would be very difficult to deny what she said later. Miss Qingwan, isn't that right? Mr. Wang repeated his question. He thought anxiously, what's wrong with Zhuo Qingwan? She told me she was His Royal Highness's fiancée when she visited me. Despite her frustration, Zhuo Qingwan said shyly, it's my parents' decision. I don't know anything about it. The others knew what she was implying. That was as good as tacit acknowledgement. Elder Mei studied Zhuo Qingwan for a long time, but he looked disappointed in the end. Jun Linyuan is supposed to be a clever man. Why did he make such a stupid mistake? He should know better. Elder Mei mumbled as he went back to studying the formation. However, what he said was a hard blow to Zhuo Qingwan's ego. Her face turned livid. How dare that old fool humiliate me? When I marry His Royal Highness, I'll kill him. Zhuo Qingwan thought to herself. Elder Mei seemed to have sensed her resentment, because he suddenly looked up. It happened so fast that Zhuo Qingwan didn't have time to hide the hatred in her eyes. Elder Mei saw the murderous look in her eyes. Elder Mei's face darkened. What's that boy thinking? Why her? I have to talk to him. However, his top priority was the formation. The wind formation was complicated, but Elder Mei was still able to crack it. A few hours passed. Suddenly, the wind abruptly stopped. It stopped. The wind is gone. Elder May is amazing. Elder May is the only one who can crack it. He must be a level 7 formation master. Elder May rolled his eyes. He had been a level 8 formation master for a very long time already. After that little episode, Zhuo Qingwan had given up on pleasing Elder May. However, when she saw how capable he was, she was intrigued again and wanted to learn formation and inscription skills from him. She recalled what her master had told her once. The Junwu Empire was a vast country with so many talented people, but why was it so difficult for it to defeat the tiny Dongseng Kingdom? Why had they been stuck on peace grassland for so many years? Formations and inscriptions. Those were the reasons. The Dongseng Kingdom was far more advanced than the Junwu Empire in these ancient skills. Chapter 2740, I can't. Chapter 2740, I can't. Soldiers of the Dongseng Kingdom all had inscriptions on their weapons and uniforms, which greatly enhanced their capability. Their power was also enhanced by the formation their troops used. Because of that, the Junwu Empire couldn't make any advancement in Peace Grassland. If they hadn't continually sent talents to Peace Grassland every year, the Junwu Empire would have lost the battle a long time ago. Zhuo Qingwan's master had asked her once, "Do you know what the Junwu Empire is lacking?" Zhuo Qingwan said affirmatively, "Formation masters and inscription masters." The head of Firmament Palace nodded. "Yes, they're the most scarce talents in the Junwu Empire. You need to have adequate talent if you want to marry Jun Lin Yuan, so you have to train yourself in these two aspects. It'll give you much more of an advantage." Zhuo Qingwan had been searching for people with such talents, but had so far come up empty. She had been researching these fields as well. However, the true Phoenix blood didn't give her much help on that front, and she wasn't much more efficient than ordinary cultivators. She stared at Elder May and was determined to become his disciple. Elder May didn't know he was being watched. He was standing at the entrance of the secret essence mine, trying to find his way in. Feng Wu and the others got in so easily because the mine had just been activated and the wind hadn't started up yet. It was much more difficult to open the entrance now. Time slowly passed by. Meanwhile, in the mine, the students were under attack. "Oh my God, what should we do? Have all the spirit stone worms gathered here? Are we going to die?" They all panicked. The worms were flooding in, and they were panic-stricken. Shan Jingfei, Yihan, and Xi Jishuan wouldn't get into the circle at first. When Xi Jishuan saw the endless stream of worms, she paled and jumped into the circle. The circle wasn't too big, and there were so many students inside already. People pushed up against one another. They swayed, and some almost fell. Since they were all classmates, no one tried to push Xi and Jishuan away. Those standing in the center even stood on one foot. Shan Jingfei smirked. "Do you seriously think that circle will work?" Xiao Xiao frowned. "It has protected us so far. You have to trust Feng Wu." "Yihan, come here." Yihan shook her head. No, she would have joined them if Xiao Xiao hadn't mentioned Feng Wu, but he had, and she would never admit defeat. She refused to step into the circle. The worms were approaching them at high speed. They looked like a tidal wave. The first few worms charged at Shan Jingfei and Yihan. They finally burst into tears. "Help us! Help!" The others would have helped them, but that was before they realized how impossible Shan Jingfei and Yihan were. They couldn't save the two girls even if they wanted to. Cheng Feng asked, "What should we do now? They're surrounded. Should we help them?" The others all stared at him. "Do you want to go?" Cheng Feng paled and shook his head. "I can't. I really can't." He had learned from his lonely journey with the crane. He knew better now. Lin Junxing asked, "Why aren't the worms attacking us? Why them?" Chapter 2741, Evil Deed. Chapter 2741, Evil Deed. Xiao Xiao said, "That's because we're in this circle." Lin Junxing wasn't convinced. "Does this circle really work?" Xiao Xiao glanced at him. Why do you even ask? Why do you think we're all squeezed into this circle? That made sense. Lin Junsheng asked, how does this circle work? Lin Junsheng patted him on the shoulder. You weren't here. The circle contains Boss Phoenix's thing. Lin Junsheng said, do you mean P? Ling Hao said, yes. Don't give us that look. It's the most precious thing. The worms will do anything to avoid it. Lin Junsheng said excitedly, then Shan Jingfei is fine. Didn't that bird pee on her head? The worms won't attack her. Yi Hongxue snapped, no, they will. Didn't you see what Shan Jingfei did with our precious water? She washed her hair. She washed off the smell. What? Everyone was shocked. They all looked at Shan Jingfei. Yi Hongxue was right. Shan Jingfei's hair was damp and had obviously been washed. How could she be so stupid? That pea could have saved her. The worms were already on the two girls. Yi Han screamed, help me. Cheng Fong couldn't bring himself to ignore her. He untied his belt, threw it at Yi Han to wrap it around her waist, and pulled her toward the circle. Xiao Xiao and the others helped him. The circle was small, but it might be able to fit all of them if they stood very close. Shan Jingfei catch. Someone else copied what Cheng Fong did and threw a belt at Shan Jingfei. It was none other than Yi Hongxue. She was angry at Shan Jingfei for her despicable behavior, but in a life-and-death moment, she chose to save the girl. Although the circle would barely fit another person, Yi Hongxue thought they might be able to make a little room for Shan Jingfei. However, something happened the next moment. Shan Jingfei grabbed the belt and yanked. Yi Hongxue was dragged out of the circle, while Shan Jingfei used the momentum to land in it. Everything happened so fast that no one had time to react. Yi Hongxue only realized it when she was outside the circle. Her eyes widened while she was in midair. She had tried to save Shan Jingfei. How could Shan Jingfei do this? Yi Hongxue, the others couldn't believe their eyes. Lin Junsheng was so furious that he wanted to push Shan Jingfei out of the circle. Shan Jingfei said matter-of-factly, she volunteered to help me. I didn't ask for it. What now? Are you going to murder me? Yi Hongxue landed with a thump amidst the dense pack of worms. Lin Junsheng went frantic. He wouldn't let anyone stop him and charged out of the circle. Lin Junsheng calmed down. The others tried to stop him, but it was too late. The last thing they saw was Lin Junsheng rushing toward the worms. Everyone glared at Shan Jingfei. Chapter 2742, Feng Wu's Back. Chapter 2742, Feng Wu's Back. Shan Jingfei said innocently, I didn't tell Lin Junsheng to leave. He did it voluntarily. You can't blame me for that. The others were furious. How could this woman be so evil? They used to see her as a kind, lovely, and innocent girl. Her true self was revolting. The other wanted to help Lin Junsheng and Yi Hongxue, but the worms blocked their view. I'm going to kill you. Shui Hao and his teammates pushed Shan Jingfei toward the edge of the circle. At that critical moment, all of a sudden, the worms seemed to sense danger and began to flee. They were soon nowhere to be seen. Everyone was speechless. What was going on? Why did the worms? Is Boss Phoenix here? Ling Hao was thrilled. He was right. The next second, they saw Feng Wu with the bird on her shoulder. Feng Wu, little Phoenix? Shui Hao, the former captain of Xueqing team, burst into tears when he saw Feng Wu. Feng Wu asked, what's wrong? Boss Feng Wu, is it really you? Ling Hao and Huishan ran toward her. Feng Wu was perplexed. Yes, it's me. Ling Hao said, please help Yi Hongxue. Now. Yi Hongxue. Feng Wu turned around and saw Yi Hongxue and Lin Junsheng lying on the ground. She frowned and said, didn't I tell you to get into the circle? Why weren't they inside? Shui Hao pointed at Shan Jingfei and sobbed. It was her. Feng Wu paid little attention to Shan Jingfei because she was examining Yi Hongxue. Is she still alive? Can you save her? Shui Hao ran to her side. Feng Wu frowned when she saw Yi Hongxue. The worms had sharp teeth, and Yi Hongxue had been surrounded by them. Yi Hongxue had chunks of flesh missing from all over her body, and she was covered in blood. The worm's saliva was toxic, which was why she was a purplish color. All life seemed to have left her. Feng Wu checked her breathing. How is she? Once the worms were gone, all attention was on Yi Hongxue. Feng Wu shook her head. She's not breathing. That was to say, is she dead? Shuihao realized what that meant. I'm going to kill Shan Jingfei. Let me kill her. We told her to get in the circle, but Shan Jingfei wouldn't listen. The worms then arrived, and Yi Hongxue felt sorry for Shan Jingfei, so she threw out one end of her belt. No one knew Shan Jingfei could be so evil. She dragged Yi Hongxue toward the worms while she used the momentum to get into the circle. Shan Jingfei, I'm going to kill you. Shan Jingfei knew no one would be on her side, so she stopped pretending. Chapter 2743, Alive. Chapter 2743, Alive. Shan Jingfei gritted her teeth and smirked. There was no space in the circle. If she didn't come out, how would I get in? If you must blame someone, blame the person who drew it for making it too small. Everyone was speechless. Little Phoenix couldn't believe its ears. Is she blaming me now? Shuihao was furious. He looked at Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqing. Not only had they been killed, chunks of flesh were also missing from their bodies. He felt indignant on their behalf. You kill them. Shan Jingfei, I'm going to kill you. Shuihao charged Shan Jingfei. Shan Jingfei shouted, Are you going to beat up a woman now? Shuihao paused a little. Everyone looked at him. She had a point. It felt wrong to watch a man beat up a woman. However, Shuihao was too angry to care about that. His fist landed on Shan Jingfei's nose with a loud thump. What? The pain made Shan Jingfei's eyes tear up. She looked at Shuihao in disbelief. How dare you hit me? She was the favorite daughter of her family, and all boys doted on her. However, this brute had just hit her. Shuihao, are you out of your mind? Shan Jingfei screamed. No, I'm not. I'm going to kill you. Shuihao raised his fist again. The once goddess of the class was turned into a punching bag. Thump, thump, thump. Soon, blood covered her face. She was completely baffled. She was being beaten up. A boy was hitting her. She felt the world had gone insane. If Yi Hongxue hadn't been killed, someone would have tried to stop Shuihao because they all had kind hearts. However, they saw what had happened to the last person who had shown some kindness. Shan Jingfei was a vicious person who wouldn't hesitate to push other people off the cliff. No one would be dumb enough to help the ungrateful girl again. All Feng Wu cared about were Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqing. Ling Hao said, Are Hongxue and Junqiang dead? Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqing had lost chunks of flesh and a lot of blood. Together with the toxin from the worms, they couldn't possibly still be alive. Everyone wanted to kill Shan Jingfei. Feng Wu took action. She was as amazing as any supreme-level medicine refiner. Pale green dots of light floated out of her fingertips. That light, several people here had seen her use it before and knew her to be a supreme-level medicine refiner. They weren't astonished this time. However, not all of them knew that. Xing Xuan and Yihan were seeing it for the first time. They almost jumped to their feet when they saw Feng Wu's medical skills. Gosh, a supreme-level medicine refiner. Even Shan Jingfei, who was taking a beating, saw what Feng Wu was doing. Supreme level. It was a shocking fact. The blood on Yi Hongxue turned from purple to red when the green light touched her. And the missing chunks of flesh grew back as they watched. Had Feng Wu just brought someone back from the dead? How terrifying. Soon, Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqing's injuries were scabbed over, but they were still unconscious. Feng Wu told Ling Hao, Make 2 stretchers. Chapter 2744, The Price of Kindness and Foolishness. Chapter 2744, The Price of Kindness and Foolishness. Ling Hao nodded and went with Huashan to make the stretchers. Boss Feng Wu, are they? The others looked at Feng Wu. They had thought that Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqiang were dead, but they looked like living people again. Are they alive? Someone asked the question. Feng Wu nodded. They'll live, but it'll take them a few hours to wake up. Yes, they were alive. They each barely had half a body left. Yet Feng Wu was able to save them. Was she even human? Feng Wu walked up to Shan Jingfei. Shan Jingfei cringed, involuntarily feeling intimidated. She paled when Feng Wu looked at her. Is she going to kill me? Does she want to take revenge for Yi Hongxue? The others also thought Feng Wu wanted to kill Shan Jingfei. Before, many of them would have begged Feng Wu to forgive Shan Jingfei, but no one said a word now. Not even Xing Xuan, her BFF, said anything. Shan Jingfei's face went ghastly pale. However, to everyone's surprise, Feng Wu only patted her on the cheek. I don't want to kill you, but it's not my call. Yi Hongxue tried to save you, but you almost killed her. That was the price of her kindness and foolishness. Therefore, she'll be the one to give the verdict in the end. Shan Jingfei was still pale after Feng Wu said that, but she secretly rejoiced. She would get back at Feng Wu as soon as they left the secret essence mine. Tie her up, Feng Wu said casually. She was the leader of the team now, and even the Class A students wouldn't question her command. Shui Hao and his teammates hated Shan Jingfei to the bone. As soon as they heard Feng Wu's order, they rushed towards Shan Jingfei and tied her up. Let's go. Feng Wu led the way. The others followed her. They felt uneasy when she wasn't around because they felt like they had lost their way. Now that she was back, they knew that Feng Wu would show them the way. Even Feng Wu herself probably hadn't noticed that she was a natural leader. The secret essence mine was a tough problem even for Feng Wu. To get out, she needed to do some careful research. Luckily, she had the bird. It had supervised the workers when the mine was built and still remembered the mine's layout. With Little Phoenix's help, Feng Wu could lead them to the exit while studying the layout of the mine. The bird was talking to her in her mind, so in other people's eyes, Feng Wu was leading them out without any effort. Feng Wu said, "Look, that's the exit." Meanwhile, outside the mine, Elder Mei was frowning. The level 8 formation was indeed hard to crack. Elder Mei, do you have any clues? Gongsun Mu asked gingerly, worried about the students inside. Elder Mei shook his head and went on thinking. Zhuo Qingwan had been trying to please Elder Mei so that he would teach her. She stepped out at that moment. Chapter 2745. No Hope. Chapter 2745. No Hope. Zhuo Qingwan shook her head at Gongsun Mu. Mr. Gongsun, please don't rush the elder. I know you think you know a lot about formations, but solving them requires a lot of time. Moreover, this is a level 8 formation and is especially difficult. It's about as complicated as the one in the War Academy. If this one can be solved so easily, so can ours. Of course, that can't be the case. Zhuo Qingwan kept emphasizing how complicated this formation was. Gongsun Mu shook his head and sighed. I'm just worried about the students inside, especially Feng Wu. Our school will be in a lot of trouble if anything happens to her. Mr. Wang of Class D snapped. Mr. Gongsun, you shouldn't make that claim. Feng Wu is just an ordinary student. Losing her won't make a difference. Gongsun Mu glared at him. You know nothing. Mr. Wang asked, does she have connections that I don't know of? Gongsun Mu nodded. Imperial College couldn't afford to offend that person. Who is it? Mr. Wang was intrigued. Zhuo Qingwan had a bad feeling, and she stared at Gongsun Mu. Gongsun Mu shook his head, not intending to reveal the secret. Mr. Wang tried to goad him. You don't know, do you? Gongsun Mu frowned. It's his. Zhuo Qingwan's stomach lurched. Fearing that Gongsun Mu would tell the truth, Zhuo Qingwan cut him off. Our top priority is to save them, and the rest can wait. Connections don't matter. Everyone in Imperial College is treated equally. Both Zhuo Qingwan and Gongsun Mu were vice chiefs. Although Zhuo Qingwan was far less capable, she was from an influential family, which put them on the same level in status. When Zhuo Qingwan used a harsh tone, Mr. Wang didn't dare speak. Everyone turned to Elder Mei again. Is it still sealed? It's been a whole day. Mr. Duan, who had gone back to do some research, came back at that moment, looking rather pale. The others asked what was going on. Mr. Duan frowned. I looked through some records of the secret essence mine and noticed a serious problem. What is it? The others asked. Mr. Duan showed them an ancient book. Look, it says that in order to clean up the filth in the mine, small spirit stone worms were put inside. Here's something on the worms. They don't need any light. They feed on spiritual stones and can live for hundreds of years. They can reproduce at a terrifying rate. If I've guessed correctly, the secret essence mine is full of spirit stone worms. Mr. Yang asked nervously, what about the students inside? Mr. Duan turned pale as well. I think it had been a whole day. There was no way they could survive in the mine. Everyone turned slightly pale. There are 80,000 tunnels inside. Mr. Duan sounded desperate. We don't have any hope of seeing those students again. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.